Welcome, my friends. Welcome to the Krieg Dominion. I am Omar Krieg, your Lord and Commander of the Krieg Dominion, and the host for tonight's event, the storyteller or game master for this second star, a Traveler 2300 role-playing experience, episode 2.1, the season premiere for second season, entitled Interrogation. With me are, of course, my players portraying their characters, Charles, Agent Wiggles, and Thurgor. And since I've already said their names and they're probably sitting there wondering how much longer I'm going to run my mouth until they get a chance to talk, let's go ahead and do that now. Starting with Charles. What have you been up to the last few weeks that we've been off? How are you surviving this redonkulous heat wave we've got going? And maybe a little bit of a reminder of who your character is and what they do.
Okay, so my character is Fritz Hellwig. He is an ex-police officer, ex-corporate spy, and last we knew, he was dancing the Macarena in front of the one-way mirror of the
He certainly
cameras.
was. I remember that. There was, if I recall, I said something along the lines of, um, questionable parentage of the camera or something along those lines.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. All I'm doing is mouthing, German slur words and insults about the parentage of the people looking at and watching us as we're in lockup, and just making an absolute utter fool of myself so they quit paying attention to us. So what am I doing? This week I've been sweating my uh,
Yeah, we're
sweating
still
to
under
death.
7 minutes. Let's choose our words
Yeah,
carefully.
yeah, sweating to death. And it's been uncomfortable, but I'm staying with a friend and some other people. The wife and kids are out with the in-laws, enjoying the coast of Washington and some beach time over there, which I'm sure they're enjoying. But I have to stay here and work.
Yeah.
And since then, I've just been busy. Work's been busy, and then I'm the week after next. Actually, the Wednesday night, as soon as I wrap up, I am packing a bag because I'm flying up Thursday morning to go down to Reno for some work and some training conference slash professional development slash blah blah blah.
Professional
For
development. I'm air quoting the bejesus out of that too.
yeah, that's why they sold it to me. They said, "Do we need to send something to the office?" And I guess the lucky wheel of fortune ended on my name, so I was like, "No, well, I'm there until just until next Tuesday." Yeah, so I'll be gone for about a week, but
Right
I'll
on.
be back for the next two episodes.
All right, so you will be here next week,
Yep,
and then on the
and I definitely
30th, will you be here, or will
I'll
you
be
still be?
yeah. Nope, I'll be coming back like crack o' dawn on the 29th
Okay,
because my administrative folks are run on Eastern time, and
gotcha.
they assume, oh, midnight, 9 o'clock, something like that. Whatever the 3 hour time
It's
difference is.
yeah, it's the Eastern time zone everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I don't know. I know you said you're at a friend's house or something to that effect. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
sure if
yeah.
they.
I'm at a friend's house enjoying air conditioning and zone controlled ductless air conditioning. So I'm yeah doing that right now.
Okay, because I wanted to point out, for the viewers, um, some of Charles's audio is not the best. It kind of comes and goes, and I'm not expecting or I'm thinking that he's probably not going to be able to do a whole lot as far as fixing or rectifying that. So I'm going to ask for a little bit of patience from the viewers. Obviously, Charles, if you can do whatever you can do, that's cool. You're still mostly understandable. It's just the clarity comes and goes.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm using a I don't have my headset plugged in. I'm actually using wireless earbuds. So I
yeah.
and Bluetooth, and so that's probably what's causing the breakup.
Yep. Yeah, and like I
So
said, for the most part, you've been clear. It's just the clarities. It starts clear, and then it gets a little muffled, and then it clears up, and then goes back.
yeah,
And of course, when you're for those of y'all that don't know, up here in the Northwest, we're dying. If you got people that you know in the Northwest, you might want to check on them and make sure they haven't turned into burnt crispy bacon, because it's freaking hot out here.
yeah,
So Charles is hanging out with some friends to enjoy a little bit of something closer to normal temperature ranges, while of course the rest of the Pacific Northwest might as well catch fire and die, because it is ridiculously hot and nobody traditionally nobody has air conditioning. I dropped over $300 last weekend to get air conditioning when I found out the heat wave was coming because I had a hard time after. Well, we can talk about me when it's my turn. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Charles, you got anything else?
No, not this time.
Alrighty. Agent Wiggles with a G for something he told me last time, and I don't remember. What's new and exciting in your world, and what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks? And then tell us a little bit about your character for those of us who haven't been around for a while.
I finished the first adventure for my paid for traveler game. They ruined someone's life wholly and completely.
Nice.
They're so a noble is being promoted from their current station to a higher station. Another noble family was like, nah, fuck that. And they sent the PCs to go stop that, either find a legitimate reason or invent one. They don't really care. They had to go to a religious goat planet. They had to go to this vacuum mining world, and they eventually went to the asteroid strike-ridden homeworld of Palik to go find dirt in the sky. And they only, did a couple of felonies along the way. Only committed a little bit of fraud.
Only a little bit of fraud. I like how he clarifies
only a little bit of fraud. Yeah,
only a little.
They made a warrant to search the dude's house, and then the main administrating guy, Voltaire, he signed the writ by his enemy, which is that person who approved it. So when it goes to the paperwork, well, because Traveler has major time lag of communication, so it'll take a few weeks for it to come through that. But eventually, his enemy will get charged with how come you're sending search warrants? You're not allowed to do that. During that adventure, Voltaire also used his real name and said he was a member of the goat religion. He came home to his living room being filled with dead goats because they got delivered there 2 weeks ago and no one fed them.
Yes, that's the weird thing about living creatures. If you don't feed them, they die.
Yeah, well, right, because his enemy saw that he became part of the goat religion. Was have some goats. and he didn't get back home for another 30 days, so the goats just died.
Yeah, there's only so much sofa stuffing they can eat before, well, there's no more. What else you got, Agent Wiggles? You got anything else for us?
Been melting and hot.
Yeah, I know you've heard us talk about our, still barely, but still double digits temperatures, and yet you're living in the triples.
Today was 100 or whatever, might be 100 tomorrow, yeah. We're supposed to get a really really big storm this weekend, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, at least you'll have that going for you.
As for Wyatt is a diehard born and bred spacer. He spent more time in space than ever has on a planet. He'll die in a spaceship.
I'm laughing at both what you just said and something that Australia said in chat, but I'll let you go ahead and finish your talking there.
He'll die in a spaceship. He'll live in a spaceship.
Yeah.
He's fairly capable around spaceships. He can pilot it. He can jump the charge port. He can operate the stutter drive. He can do the sensor work. He's a fairly competent trader, and he speaks 3 languages. And he can shoot a foo if he needs to.
And when the ship gets banged up, he's married to a wonderful mechanic.
Yes, I'm married to a top-notch engineer. Who is ill-defined for ease of use.
This sounds so horrible on so many different levels. We really never have actually fleshed her out as far as all her stats and stuff.
Accurate though.
Yeah, we'll get there eventually one day, and we'll make the stats make sense. I do want to point out what Australis did just say in chat, and he says we were talking about goats. And, there's only so much they can do about keeping them alive if they eat all the food or something along those lines. And he's like, unless you're Soleimani, in which case you just uplift your animal and they can open the fridge and feed themselves. I thought it was funny. Oh, man. Thurgor, what's new and exciting in your world, my friend? What have you been up to the last few weeks? Don't you dare mention your much more moderate temperatures or I will punch you through the internet. And
That was
also tell
first
us,
on my agenda.
I know it was, but also tell us a little bit about your pilot character, Joseph Milligan, too, please.
Well, I have to say something about the weather. Yesterday when I came home, I actually had to turn my air conditioner on
You
because
actually
it
had to
was
turn it on.
70 degrees in my house.
Oh my lord. Hey, man.
Joseph Milligan is hot right now too. He's steaming.
This is totally a different thermal angle.
That's right. We are not the ones responsible for whatever all this is about. I can't trust a flex personnel at this point any further than I can throw them, and I'm probably the weakest one of the bunch. So right now he is waffling back and forth from running his mouth to not saying a word. And I'm interested to see how this is all going to play out. All he
Well,
wants to do is get back on a ship and fly the heck out of here.
I bet. Well, I do have some stuff planned because what GM doesn't prep for us? Actually, don't answer that question because I'm sure there's a few that just totally wing it. I may have
Every
winged it
once in a
once or
while.
twice myself, but not for this show and not for Pendragon. But I have in the past for other things I've done, totally winged an entire session or two. No. But yeah, no, I've got some stuff planned for tonight that I'm actually, given some of the comments you made both here just now and some in Discord prior to starting, I'm very curious to see how things turn out. I am still optimistic that you guys will enjoy the show. Whether or not Milligan is happy about anything come the end, well, we'll jump that bridge when we get there. As for me, I am, of course, Omar Krieg, your game master, storyteller, referee, GM, DM, whatever you want to call it. I am the guy running the show. And much like Charles, it is friggin' hot here. Of course, those that don't know may have caught on previously. Charles and I are in more or less the same geographic region. It is freaking hot. I dropped over $300 a week ago, or almost a week ago, for some air conditioning because I needed it. Quick little shout out though. I have to be honest. It wasn't all my money. My oldest son dropped me $200 to help pay for it. So he's pretty cool. You guys know who he is. He's Talus, or he plays Shin in Solasta, and up until the other day, he was playing Sir Vitamar in the Blood and Glory show that just recently got canceled. Actually plan on releasing a video over the weekend coming up. Another State of the Dominion video. Whether or not I actually get around to putting it all together and doing it, I don't know yet. But I do hope to have something out by the end of the weekend regarding a current state of affairs here in the Krieg Dominion. With all that said, let's frickin' play the game. We've been bumping our gums for almost 15 minutes. It's not horrible. We've done worse, but I think we're all here to play a game, and I think all of our viewers are out there to watch us play. Anyway, so before I forget, though, don't forget if you're enjoying the show, the camaraderie, the shenanigans, please, by all means, join the Discord. You can find the links in the YouTube video, or excuse me, actually on my YouTube page. You can find us on Twitter, at Omar Krieg, and yeah, really, getting on the Discord is really the best way to find out what's going on. Like, for instance, how the Greyland Trios League 30-25 season has just started. We've got one match completed out of the 5 scheduled for this week alone. So we've got another match being recorded tomorrow night, and then 2 more over the weekend, and a 5th one that still needs to be scheduled. But yeah, the Trios League is off and running already. And now back to Second Star. Previously, on the Second Star, the Wayfinder has arrived at Queen Alice's star, and shortly thereafter, a mysterious message is received. Captain Jason Briggs plants a device in the engine room, disabling the ship in order to make good an escape, bringing with him Junior Engineer Officer Morton Randall. Together, they literally jump from the ship in free fall through space into an open hatch aboard a waiting ship, one that we can only make out because of the lack of a visible starscape behind it. The crew spends hours attempting to repair their vessel, even enlisting the aid of a nearby Flex survey ship and crew. Despite the gravity of the situation, repairs are made and the ship is barely able to limp into orbit. Only then to be told to redirect to the Gabriella Davies Memorial Station in orbit above Beowulf. I'm sorry, I think I said that wrong. Beowulf. Hopefully I said it right. And to have all logs and accounts readily available for what turns out to be a search and seizure by order of the French Armed Squadron Commander, Admiral Zachariah McTaggart. On arrival at the station, the crew is detained under orders of the Admiral via his Chief of Staff, Captain Teresa Eppenheimer, and squads of armed and armored ship's troops. And here we have our opening sequence. We see through the eyes of the camera as it makes its way through various sections of the Gabriella Davies Memorial Station, a large, cavernous. Wow, I promise I know how to speak. You guys know I know how to talk. I just can't read apparently. Makes its way through the Gabriella Davies Memorial Station, a large, cavernous repair bay where the Wayfinder is presently stationed, and we see a massive pair of cables easily as big around as a person's hand that leads from the back end of the ship towards what can only be described as a massive wall-sized generator. The camera hovers for a moment over the ship, giving the viewer a bird's eye view, panning from its tail end towards the sloped and pointed nose section, and then upward to what can be considered an observation room, wall-length glass through which peer a pair of people dressed in flex skin suits with ranks, ribbons, and other markings obvious on them. Here we see Admiral McTaggart and his Chief of Staff, Captain Teresa Eppenheimer. It is obvious the two are having a conversation, but the words that are being said cannot be heard by the viewer's perspective due to the sounds of the work being done in the hangar below. Third person joins them, an average-looking man wearing the rank bars of a lieutenant commander. And of course, the date at the bottom left of the screen indicates today is Sunday, the 17th of May, 2297, and that we are now on the GDMS. And the time is roughly 10 a.m. local. So, at this point, the crew has been sequestered. So basically what has happened in the last roughly 36 hours since you first arrived, excuse me, initially, all the crew was basically pulled off the ship. Excuse me, let me get a drink real quick. Everybody was basically taken off the ship by armed and armored Marines. Well, we call them ship's troops in flex, but basically they were Marines. Everybody was gathered up in one large space, and then over the course of a handful of hours, everybody got separated into their own personal quarters. I'm actually looking through my notes to make sure I'm not missing anything. Over the next several hours, everyone is assigned and taken to a private room that only barely qualifies as a living space. A cot, a small workstation with very limited access to the link, and a small bathroom. It's also easily observed by anyone that there are cameras in each of the rooms to observe what the person inside is doing. And these monitoring devices were clearly and hastily added to the rooms. They weren't necessarily part of the room's original structure. Wires show where they run from the camera and into a wall fixture, for instance. Normally these wouldn't be visible. Anybody attempting to access the link will find that basically the only thing you can do is professional development sites. There's no media, no news, no other forms of communication or networking, including local entertainment sites and suites. So basically, the only site you can really access is professionaldevelopment.link.com. Starting with Charles, are we still doing the Macarena? Am I supposed to make prison wine? Oh my God, Wiggles, you're killing me, bro. I'm sorry, Charles. Go ahead.
I completely missed that. So I'm gonna be. I don't know if I'm doing the micro anymore as much as I'm just like pacing up and down, kind of smiling at the camera, maybe doing the dragon thing. If you've ever seen Starsky and Hutch, you know what I'm saying.
No, I unfortunately that was nothing I was really interested in. But please go ahead. Don't let me get in the way.
If you watch the new movie, with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson, it's great. Anyhow, I'm up there against the mirror, just like doing the weirdest things, and that's all I'm doing is I'm just being absolutely just weird and unusual. Because I've been through this as part of counterterrorism training and counterintelligence training, so I'm just like, I'd almost want to say Howling Mad Murdoch level of just like looking at hand puppets and stuff like that, and just being weird and just being a fool, and hoping that no one's really paying attention to me as I'm trying to like think about, look around, and assess. Obviously, based on your description, I can see the cameras are new. They've never been installed here before. Kind of looks like a rush shot job. But I'm sure if I go touch them, some guy's gonna stick his head in. So I'm yeah, just hoping to be just weird enough that they're not looking at me.
That's just like, this guy is losing his shit. We don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Now, I do
Yeah, exactly.
vaguely recall. I don't remember if I made you. I feel like I probably made you roll for it, but I feel like prior to you being escorted off the ship, you were able to grab some of your stuff, a geek stick or two, perhaps.
Yeah, but I wasn't able to get the one with the because I failed the roll to deceptively grab the one that had my that had the secret comms with it.
Okay.
But I had
Excellent.
everything else. I had everything else that we were kind of building up to like have. So I have that in my subdermal, and I'm not really looking at it. I'm just like kind of just rubbing my arm and
Making sure it's still there without making
yeah,
sure
making
it's
sure.
still there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so and then realizing that the only thing I can actually log into is professional development stuff is like, okay, you know what? I'm bored. I'll sit through 6 hours of how to be how to properly don and inspect my vac suit type of thing.
I'm so
And
waiting for you to say gas mask too.
and I'll be acting it all out, and stopping and acting, while I'm doing something like that. Yeah, watching one of those
Nice.
training videos, answering the questions, writing down the things, and
Oh,
then
you're going all in on this.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Like, oh well, don't let me not learn to be a better person in society.
exactly, yeah, the
Hey, did you
yeah,
know that most tires on commercial motor vehicles are only rated for up to 75 miles an hour, and if you drive faster than that, it's a much higher risk of a blowout? And don't ask me how I know that, but I know that from professional development.
exactly. And I'm looking at like every time I'm finding one of those like weird little trivia bits, I'm looking at the camera going, "Hey, did you guys see this?"
Okay, so on the tire, they'll actually tell you what it's rated for, because there'll actually be a speed rating on the
Yep.
tire wall itself.
Yeah.
And the reason why I know this, because I sold tires.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the 255, right?
Sure.
No, that's the width of the. So there's the tire walls, and then there is the portion that makes contact with the road. The 256 is in millimeters, and that's what that refers to. And then there's the R, which you might think stands for radius. No. That's the construction of the tire. That means it's radial belt. And then you'll have a 2-digit number after that, 70, 30, or 40, and that's a ratio from the tire width to the wall size.
Yep.
Wow.
And
Okay, before we get too much more into actual professional development.link.com here. Wow. Okay, that was some immersive roleplay right there.
Right. So then maybe the only other thing I'm doing to this too is, again, like, I'm being just absolutely weird, so not paying attention to me, is like, I'm doing the whole Siskel and Ebert, thumbs up, thumbs down,
for each 20-minute segment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I rate that 1 thumbs up. My left hand says thumbs down.
Yeah.
Work on that script. That CGI was garbage. I could tell it was fake.
Yeah.
So, all right, Wiggles. What about you? What is Mr. Wyatt doing now? I have to point out specifically for you, Alicia Wyatt is also being detained, but in a separate room from you. You are by yourself.
Sleeping.
Yeah, that's such an EXO thing to do too.
No, okay. So Wyatt at this point has probably been up for what, like 40 hours straight?
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we rolled right out of the oh my god, we're gonna die.
Yeah. Like you jumped out of Ogoro after doing the whole Innsbruck rescue, whatever. And then you had a couple of days in FTL, and then like 6 hours after you get into Beowulf, boom, and you've got like 24-ish hours remaining on the in-flight. And yeah, I imagine the XO was probably quite busy.
Yeah, no, I took some combat meth. I'm crashing from that. The adrenaline left of my body. No, I'm sleeping. I might want to do other things, but my body's like, no, how about you sleep, bro? I'm like, okay.
Oh, Milligan, my angry pilot.
Mm.
What is Mr.
So
Milligan
honestly,
doing?
sleep is on my agenda as well, but there were some other things I
But
wanted to
it's
do
going to be an
first.
angry sleep.
It's probably going to be a pretend sleep, although my meds are probably wearing off too, so I imagine we're all due for a crash.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we lost
Uh,
someone.
they talked about us retaining a lawyer or something when they were first snatching us all up.
It was
But I have
recommended, yeah.
right. So will this terminal in here get us to those places?
Negative.
Then how are we supposed to do that?
That's a good question. Pretty much the only thing, like I said, the only thing you have access to, and short of trying to hack the firewall. I know it's not firewall, but like short of hacking the network to do what you want,
Right.
like it's very clear that if the I'm trying to figure out how to best phrase it. So basically, probably some sort of search or keyword block. If it does not or Jesus Christ, I have the thought. I'm trying to put it into words. So in my experience, I know that those running a network can always just blank out the connection. I know there are, theoretically at least, I don't know the way to do it or any of the technical matters, but I would imagine there's definitely a way to block specific sites and to get sites to come back. If you go try to, I know in some cases, in some countries on this planet, if you go to visit certain websites, you will get a warning back that says this site is illegal to be accessed. I am not going to say any specific examples, but I'm sure those of us with an imagination can figure out 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
So I imagine something similar is in place. So I'm not saying if you go ahead and find yourself local VPN network and then be able to get onto any link would probably work, but whichever, if you wanted to try that route. Stormbender, welcome, my friend. Thanks for stopping in.
So from my American Space Naval career knowledge, whatever, is there any kind of American Space Navy presence on this station?
On the station, no.
No.
This station
Okay.
is almost exclusively a flex station.
Okay.
There might be
So
other entities or perhaps even national representation of some sort, but this is solely a flex station.
so definitely no Rebco SAR.
No.
Okay,
So Rebco SAR might have like some sort of like field office or something like that.
Mhm.
Stormbender, you're funny. $100 or 100-bit late fee. That's funny. Thanks, man. Yeah, so Rebco SAR might have a field office, but you wouldn't be able to contact them at this point in time because you're not necessarily aware that either they are there or just the plain and simple fact that you can't actually network or communicate.
Okay. I'm not going to try to hack anything or anything like that.
Chicken shit. I'm sorry.
Whatever.
I'm not talking shit. Don't listen to me. Go ahead.
I'm just going to sleep off the effects of our combat drugs that kept us kicking and moving and all that to get here.
My
I'm
brother
gonna.
had such a wonderful time learning that that's a thing. Yeah,
Oh,
when I talk about the combat meth.
yeah,
Mm.
oh yeah, yeah. That's definitely a thing, or at least it was. In the real world, it definitely was. I can't say whether or not it is now, strictly because I've never experienced it myself. Somebody's got something going in the background.
I think I don't know what that was. So
Yeah.
anyway,
It's
other
the
than
color
that,
filter.
I'm basically ignoring the fact that there's a camera even in here. I don't pay it any attention whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I figure out that the terminal can't do for me what I want it to do, I'm not going to try to jack in or hack it or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to, it's just a useless, I
Okay.
don't even know why they put it in here, honestly, but I'm just going to rack out.
What a
Catch some
trash
Z's.
terminal. Can't even play Doom. I'll tell you this real quick as a quick aside. The reason why I threw that whole here's the internet connection, but you can't do shit with it, but professional development, Charles, I don't know if you've experienced this in your military experience. I have had leadership where if you are pulling a 24-hour duty shift, that is literally the only thing you can do outside of your requirements and tasks for your 24-hour shift. So if you're not doing, let's say, a security check, you need to be like the only thing other thing that you're allowed to do is professional development.
Yep.
To
Yep.
include
Yeah.
like if you got your cell phone out, no, you have a laptop that we have provided for you and your runner. Like, are you serious right now? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and look at army.com all damn night.
Is there a hacking tutorial in the professional development?
Actually, there's a cyber
There probably
awareness.
would be. Yeah, there probably would be. Yeah, cyber awareness. There would be something, but you may need some sort of what's the word I'm looking for here? You may need a boss to sign off on it, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But I remember that. Like the only we had a TV in some of our spaces, but the only thing we could go watch was the
AFN.
DoD official, AFN, or the official DoD History Channel with all the fun documentaries from like the 60s from the 80s.
Oh, God.
Yeah, on the computer, the only places we could go was like official government websites. So it was like, okay, you know what? I'm bored. I'll go read the tax code for a while. I'll go read the U.S. code for a while. And when someone came by, they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm studying for history.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've had plenty of nights where I'll tell you, like, some military publications can be interesting if you have the interest for it. You know, tactics might be interesting. You know, some of the field manuals might be, well, they're not called field manuals anymore, but
Yeah. The technical manuals and all your fun stuff
yeah,
are kind
some
of
of that
interesting
stuff might
sometimes
be
too.
interesting, but then there's like all the admin related, like the Army regulations, for instance, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I really don't care what font and what font size it's supposed to be on an official military document. I don't care about the type. Like it's, I'm not going to be excited about this. And there's only so many times I can look at the regulation about my wear and appearance of my military uniforms before I either learn exactly what I need for that moment or absolutely lose my damn mind.
Oh, I got around that one. I don't mean to divert the game right now, but I got around that one time. I got busted, but I was like, I'm going to the official uh, War College library, and it's not my fault that I can go access Red Storm Rising and Dean Koontz and other crap.
That's hilarious. So let's go ahead and move on a little bit. It is now roughly noon on Sunday, the 17th of May, as it actually says on the overlay. Around noon, each of you will be visited. So just to make things a little interesting, we've got TTS open. Let's go ahead and use it one time. If all three of you could just roll 1d6 for me, and the higher number will be the first one visited by a visitor. Be visited by free ghosts. God damn it, Wiggles. Well, Milligan's not going first. This will be fun. Wiggles, you want to roll some dice for me, please? Before you blow up my chat stream, or stream chat, rather. All right. Looks like Charles is up.
Are we gonna have to roll off? Did he roll a 1?
No,
I did
I got a number higher than 1, so I'm gonna run with that. We're not gonna get too crazy with this. Charles, at some point around about noonish, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit later, you get a knock on your door, and there's the voice that you've come to recognize because by this point, you've probably been in lockup for 12, 18, 20 hours. You've been fed and watered. I hate to say it like that, but you've been given food and drink. There's a couple of guards, and most likely you know that you're in a hallway that accesses several rooms, and each of those rooms holds one of the crew of the Wayfinder. And up and down the hallway are at least 1 or 2 guards, maybe more, because you could tell or recognize that this is the same voice that you heard 16 hours ago. And you get a knock on the door, and the guard is like, "Hey, I hope you're decent because we're about to come in. And they don't even really give you a chance to respond. The door unlocks, door swings wide open, and standing there, along with this guard, who is armored and armed, but he's got, just a sidearm, and he doesn't have his helmet on, but he has the rest of his vac suit on,
Right.
is a middle-aged man with a very moderate build, and honestly, like, to describe him, I literally wrote this in here. His only physically unique characteristic is how average he appears. There is absolutely nothing special about his appearance, as though he could literally just blend in with any crowd at any point in time.
Nice.
He looks like if you blink, you would have lost it. Like, when you go to look for Waldo, and everything around Waldo, it looks like Waldo, but it's not Waldo. It's this guy.
Right.
So anyway, he comes in. Do we need to give you a moment to get dressed or anything like that? Because I feel like that's definitely a wig, not a wig, a hell wig thing. Is that he's probably been prancing around his room butt booty naked.
Oh no! I haven't been booty naked. I'm just gonna look at him. I'm gonna kind of turn and look at him, and just scream, "Guard, Masher!" And I'm gonna pretend I'm closing a shower curtain and put my pretend to put a bathrobe on, and turn and go, "Well, hi, sailor."
Hold on, I need to compose myself now before this guy responds. Oh my god, I'm just picturing this entire pantomimed process. That is glorious. And of course, Hellwig just comes up with this shit on the fly.
Exactly. Yeah.
No. So this individual, this Mr. Average Man here, he definitely has something of a, okay, I know this game. I may or may not have written a book about this tactic. Smirk on his face, and he says, Mr. Hellwig, I think that we can dispense with all the rest of that. I am Lieutenant Commander Irving Bryson. I am a junior advocate in the Admiralty's, oh my god, in the Admiralty Board's Public Affairs Office.
Okay.
I need a moment of your time, please. So,
All
please,
right. So
compose yourself.
At that point, I'm just gonna go, "Oh, this was so much fun. Do you know how much fun the training films were?" And then I'm gonna recompose myself and put the serious face on and go, okay, all right, sounds good. Obviously they weren't impressed. It's you obviously know what's going on, and I assume you're a full-time lawyer. So unless you're also a secret code kid, let's get down to brass tacks then.
Brass tacks, indeed. I'm here to inform you of the potential charges that may be raised against you and or your fellow crewmates. These charges include conspiracy, espionage, vandalism, fraud, and a number of others that may collectively or individually lead to being charged with sedition and or conspiracy to commit seditious acts.
And I'm just, every time he goes there, I'm kind of cutting him off, and then by the time he gets done, I'm like, I'm gonna whistle, I'm gonna go, what? No jaywalking?
God damn it! You're making me force myself to recompose here. No, he's got a bit of a smirk on his face, but beyond that, he's got like next to nothing as far as showing any sort of recognition that you're trying to break him up or you're trying to be a smartass or whatever. In fact, he actually at one point, once he gets through his little list of things, he finishes it. First off, he says these charges may also be, depending on severity and or the nature, they could be turned over either to local or system-wide authorities or potentially even an international court if sufficient evidence exists that proves that the actions of the crew in part or in whole, blah, 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 acted against the good faith, prosperity, humanity.
Yeah, and I'm kind of winding my hands like okay, I've said some of the same stuff. You have my record. I can see it sitting there on your tablet. Blah blah blah. I know. Let's cut to the chase. What do you want? And how soon can I get out of here?
Are you suggesting some sort of deal?
Well, you're basically telling me that I am effectively a terrorist and a pirate, and and I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna put my hand out and go. and go and count them off again. It was this. 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 And this.
All
And
the
this.
things that
And
he
this.
just listed.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm familiar with the charges,
Oh,
Mr. Hellwig. I just
well,
listed them off to you.
And I'm familiar with them now too, Lieutenant Commander. But when all I can say is before we were taken off the ship, is that we had some reason to suspect that there was hostile agents on board.
Mr. Hellwig, I have to stop you right there. Legally, I have to stop you right there. I need to be clear. I'm not here to potentially represent you. I'm actually representing the Admiralty Board of the Flex organization. So anything you say at this point could be let's just say misinterpreted. Let's leave it at that, shall we? I am required to give you. Again, you're not officially charged with anything. These are a list of potential charges. You need to be made aware of them so that you can plan appropriately or accordingly your own defense. Such as, for instance, seeking your own legal representation.
Well, how can I get my own legal representation when all I can access is training films on what Jag does? Which, by the way, do you know what Jag does?
There's a whole 47-minute video right here. Jag 101.
Right.
Show's been on the air for like 80 years. No one watches it.
Yeah, I want to pull out some little weird, interesting factoid, like that they always have to have the little scrolled bars of whatever on their collar points. Da da da.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
speaking of devices on his uniform, can you roll me a Recon Plus social, please?
Yeah. Yep. Give me a second. Boom. So what I got a 7. Recon is a 1. That's 8. And I think my social is a 1, so that's 9.
Is that a standard issue codpiece? Jesus Christ, Wiggles. Okay, we'll call that an 8 plus, which is what you needed. Weird aliens. You guys are writing all over my damn map. I didn't even notice. So what you notice is that I don't know what you're familiar with naval uniforms. I know based on either your what's it called? Hang on, I know this. Enlisted above E3 have the what's it called? I know it's the patch that has the inverted chevrons, and then there's
it's a rate symbol.
What is it?
It's a rating symbol.
Your rating, yes. Yep. And then your officers usually have some sort of pin identifying what the officer version of rating is, and because it was similar in the Army.
Yeah, if they're a regular line officer, they just have a star on their shoulders, and if they have something else, if they're administrative type like medical or JAG or supply, they have that. Yeah.
So Flex follows a similar tradition, where on their breast, above their name tag, is a pin, or in this case, because he's wearing a skin suit on a space station, it's more of an embroidered sort of badge kind of deal. It is a dagger pointed upright with a rose leaf over top of the blade.
Ooh.
I'm going to give you a moment to consider what that may possibly mean. I feel like between you and me and a good Google search or two, you might have an idea.
Wait, what was that again? A dagger with a what?
A dagger pointed upright with a I used the word rose leaf. I think I used the wrong flower, but let's just say for Flex, it's a rose leaf. And basically you would, if it were an image in front of you, you would see the the handle, a very small portion of the blade above the guard, and then the point, because the rest of the blade is covered by the flower.
Okay.
If you determine what it is, don't say anything.
Okay.
But in character, if you determine what it is, your in character response should probably be a little more guarded. I guess is what I.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It means you get an extra $50 for the commissary. So on one hand we
Alright,
got Wiggle, or on one hand we got Helwig or Charles throwing memes in Discord, and then on the other hand we got Wiggles, Australis, and whoever else in chat just blowing it up. I love it. You guys are entertaining me as I entertain you. This is amazing.
Yep. So okay. So then at this point, he tells me to stop. It's like, okay, then it really sounds like to me. I'm gonna spell it out for you. I know you're intelligent. Lawyer, and then I'm gonna just sit there and shush.
Mr. Helwig, that may have been the smartest thing you've said since I walked into this room.
Hey,
Uh,
all the hell we didn't raise no dummy.
do you have any other questions before I depart?
You validate parking?
Jesus Christ, you guys are killing me.
No, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah. How do I get a hold of one if I can't access anything to research one? Or am I just gonna get some poor schmuck?
That's a good question. I'll have to talk to your cap.
Right?
I said cap, it's not him.
And
I'm
then
sorry.
I'm just gonna start jumping around like a kangaroo and just looking at my pouch, going guilty, 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 guilty.
Yeah, so he says something to the effect of that he'll have to have a talk with the admiral or the chief of staff or something like that, and then he just walks out, politely, gently closes your door. It locks.
I'm gonna say, bye, sailor. Thanks for visiting.
Yeah, I feel like we don't see this, but I feel like as soon as he steps outside, he has that moment of where he just wipes his brow and he's like, Jesus fucking Christ. What this? Free parking with every 5 years to life sentence. Oh my god. Man, that AC unit is not kicking hard enough for me right now. Oh my god. Let me get back on topic rather. The other two of you. Wiggles and Milligan, if you guys could also roll one more time. Just to see who goes next. Got a 4 for Wiggles.
Dang it.
And jeez, all right, come on, guys, come on, roll something other than a 4. The two of you. There we go. We got a 6. What do you got there, Roar?
All
Got a
right.
3. Okay, Mr. Wiggles, you are visited next by the same person I just described. A very, 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 very average-looking individual, wearing the rank of lieutenant commander. Knocks on your door. There's a sound of, "I hope you're decent. We're coming in." And in walks this individual. How do you respond?
So Wyatt is on the bed. The sheet and blankets are on the floor. As his he has his shoes off and his socks off, and his feet still look like it when you have like socks on for like 10 or 15 hours. So they're like
Yeah, they got the little
weirdly white.
indentation.
Right? Yeah, right. And and he's got like his belt slacking. And he's just sleep kind of cockeyed on the bed.
So you're actually dead asleep at this point.
I was working for 40 hours. Yeah, no, I'm asleep.
Okay. No, you're woken up. I won't say rudely or roughly, but it's definitely not gently. There's a hand on your shoulder. There are a couple of quick, vigorous shoving sort of motions. You're definitely being woken up.
Kick him in the teeth.
What?
Mr. Wyatt. Mr. Wyatt, I do need you to wake up.
Why? Well, what's the advantage?
Well, I am here to provide you with some legal. I can't think of the right word here. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Advice.
It's gonna be. It's not advice. He's not for us.
Yeah,
I mean, he can say, if he wants to say advice, he's welcome to say advice.
Yeah, I
have
think
a
that's. I think
response
he.
if
I think what it sounds like is it goes something like this. It's Mr. Wyatt, I'm here to provide you with some legal well, shit, advice. Yes, I'm here to give you some legal advice. I need your attention, please.
Wyatt digs out the sleep crap out of the corner of his eyes, right? And he stands up and then he'll squint at the generic person, and then he'll go on his tippy toes, and he'll look over his shoulder. He'll look over one shoulder, and then he'll look over the other shoulder, kind of like peer around, kind of look in the hallway if you can get a glance of it.
No, not really. I mean, because you're on over by the bed or the cot or whatever, and
Yeah, that's
doesn't
fine.
have
The
much of
important
an
part is-
angle.
The important part is that I'm looking around him and past him, looking for someone else.
Well, first he introduces himself and he says, "I'm Lieutenant Commander Irving Bryson, Junior Advocate for the Flex
Is
Admiralty
this
Board."
take your child to work day? Is there an
Uh,
adult in the room?
I'm right
What is
here,
this?
Commander.
No,
Let's
'cause-
not do this.
Let's not do what? You said you're going to offer me advice. Are you my lawyer? Because if you're my lawyer, then those guards shouldn't be in the room. Otherwise, we can't keep confidence. Since they're in the room, you're trying to give me advice. This is not held confidential. It means you're not my lawyer. So go away. I want my lawyer and a sleep and a sandwich.
Oh my God! Why is suddenly the whiniest petulant child ever?
And then he'll like throw in a couple swears in Zargon, you know.
Well, French.
And like
French.
as he talks, right?
Oh,
and as he
Zargon. Never
talks,
mind.
yeah, he speaks the spacer pigeon.
Yeah, when you said Zargon, my first thought was Jodani. And I was like, no, that's the wrong universe, my friend. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, nope. What I do need you to do, actually, go ahead and make you a recon social roll for me, please.
Oh yeah, I can do that. I can totally. I that's one thing I do all the time. I don't know why you're even asking. It's like
I'm not sure why you're trying to sell me that, especially a
6.
4. 6, yeah. Nope. You get, for a brief moment, you get an impression that this guy is, you get a feeling like you were wondering if this guy is legit. But then you get back into your little tirade about leave me alone, I want a lawyer, a sandwich, and sleep, something. And whatever thought it was that sparked and made you think such things is quickly gone. So you're not able to, put 2 and 2 together and come up with a reasonable answer. At which point, Bryson just kind of, you know what? Very well then, Mr. Wyatt. Enjoy the rest of your day. And when he says day, you're not entirely sure if he said day or stay. Because he kind of slurred it a little bit, and then the doors close before you get a chance to...
Look up the running rate for illegal imprisonment. Actually, it's $1 million a day.
By the way, Australia says, isn't Zargon corrupted Russian Belter talk? More or less.
Yeah, it's
Less
spacer
corrupted.
pigeon.
Yeah, it's an amalgamation of several languages, similar to the Belter speak in The Expanse, especially if you read the books, because it actually talks a little bit about I want to say there's like 4 different languages that the Belter speak actually comes from, and I think it's Portuguese, Russian, Chinese, and Greek, or something silly like that. I don't quote me. It's been a while since I read any of that stuff. And that takes us finally to Mr. Milligan. Knock, knock, motherfucker.
Uh-huh.
I had to say it like that. I'm sorry. You also get the, hey, I hope you're decent in there. We're coming in. And about 2 seconds later, your door opens, and in walks the most averagest looking motherfucker ever, wearing Lieutenant Commander rank.
That's my shtick.
Well, not anymore.
So I sit up on the edge of the bed and I just look at him.
Mr. Milligan, I am Lieutenant Commander... I forgot his name. I am Lieutenant Commander Irving Bryson. I am a junior advocate. The same thing I said twice now.
I interrupt him and say, a junior advocate of what?
Well, I am representing the Admiralty Board's Public Affairs Office.
The Admiralty Board of what?
So out of character, I don't know if I actually ever clarified this. So, and this is something that you guys would know in character. So in the upper echelons of Flex, at the very top, is effectively the CEO. And I know we've discussed previously that Flex is actually nonprofit, whatever. At the top is the CEO. What if that's not quite the right title? It is what it is. Directly beneath that, if you picture like any sort of organization tree, it splits. And on one part you have the board of directors, and then in the other part you have the admiralty board. And actually, I think there's a little bit of overlap between the two. The board of directors is all your normal board of director type stuff. The admiralty board specifically handles all the space-based portions of Flex, specifically the ships, the stations, and how they're organized into the three, the French arm, the Chinese arm, and the American arm squadrons. Does that make sense for everybody so far?
Yep, and that's what I'm getting at. Yep.
Yeah. And so this is the admiralty board that insofar, obviously this is a mostly civilian organization, but it's structured around a military idea. The admiralty board is above the individual squadrons, which is the squadrons are above the individual ships, insofar as the chain of command is concerned.
Of this corporation.
Correct. Of this
Yes.
nonprofit extra, what's the word I'm looking for? Nonprofit, non-government organization.
Right. Okay. And so how does he respond?
What was your question again? I'm sorry. I went on a tangent. In my short-term memory did not save me.
I'm trying to lead him to the point of, clarifying his admiralty board, whereupon I'm then going to make the point of it being a civilian corporation, not a government or law enforcement entity.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I represent the admiralty board, which, as you being a member of Flex, are indirectly answerable to. And by indirectly, because there are one or two layers between the board and you yourself.
But what you don't have the authority to do is to imprison people.
Are you in prison right now?
Can I leave?
Can you leave? Yes. Is it smart? No. Before we go any further, Mr. Milligan, I have to advise you that I am not here to be your representative, rather than I am representing
I'm
Flex.
fully aware of that. Is His Grace going to be joining us at any point?
I'm sorry?
Is His Grace going to be joining us at any point?
Out of character. Out of character. I know where you're going with this because it took me a few tries to figure it out when you said this earlier today. In character, Bryson is just kind of like, I'm sorry, who?
And I'm looking at his face, while I'm asking him this, because I want to see if there's any glimmer or anything at all when I say that.
When you say His Grace, he's actually kind of confused.
Okay, that's fine.
He wasn't expecting you to say anything like that. In fact, if anything, there might be a moment, like a few seconds after his response, where he's like, His Grace, typical response or form of address to a Duke Beowulf. And you don't really see all that, but you could tell like he's starting to spin some wheels. And now I need you to roll Recon Social.
Yeah, roll Recon Social. Do it. All the cool kids are.
Okay. Yeah, you notice, so basically more or less how I explain it. So you say something about His Grace, he gives you the not necessarily an automatic, because it doesn't happen fast enough to be that guarded automatic response. It actually does take him by surprise that when you make that reference to His Grace, he doesn't know what you're talking about. And then the wheels start spinning, and you actually do recognize he knows exactly what you're referring to.
Okay.
But what he doesn't know is how much you know versus how much he knows.
Right. So once I see that realization on his face, I'm going to give him a second first to ask a question.
He doesn't. He's got his poker face on.
Right.
And this drops as a trained reflex.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you that one just because you rolled the success
right
there.
And so I'm just going to lean in just a little. I'm still sitting on my cot. I'm just going to lean towards him just a little and kind of give him the raised eyebrow and said, I saw that.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. Milligan.
And
that also comes out a little bit cookie cutter.
Yeah, I said, of course not. You're on camera. I said,
do you have any further questions for me,
the two
Mr. Milligan?
people No, I don't have any questions for you.
Do you have
Other
any
than
statements that you may want to throw
where's
towards
my
me that can
lawyer?
be used against you?
Yeah, of course. No, all I've got to say to you is the two people responsible for us being here right now, you don't have in custody. The crew of that ship saved that ship. Flex is indebted to the people that you're now holding as prisoners. And if we're not prisoners, then put us back together. But the two people you need to be looking for, you don't have. And if I find him first, you'll never see him.
I think there's a bit of a slight smirk on Bryson's face when you say that last bit that you know basically intimating that you're going to kill Briggs, and he doesn't even give you the traditional or the courteous have a good day or whatever. He just turns on his heel and walks out.
Yep. Good.
Let me get back to my notes here. On the following day, starting in the morning, you guys are once again visited by your guards. Would anybody like to volunteer to go first?
I will.
Sure. Oh no, go ahead. There we go.
That was awesome. All three of
I'm
you are
just
like,
gonna
I'll
say, I'm just gonna say, hey, the JAG told me yesterday we weren't prisoners and we could leave whenever we want to. So why are we still sequestered like this?
Yeah, exactly. And this is like, so that everything that happened with Bryson was, plus or minus however many minutes per individual, somewhere around noon on Sunday, and now it is Monday, 18th of
Yep.
May, starting about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, we'll go with Milligan since you're the most abrasive, we'll say.
I'm usually not. I'm just pissed right now.
No, this is awesome. I love it. No, your guard comes in, and he says, "Hey, we need to take you into another room."
Why?
Listen, I just follow orders. You know how that goes. Let's go.
I said, well, the JAG told me yesterday we weren't prisoners.
I'm not
and that
really
we could...
asking. I'm just giving you the courtesy of letting you think it's your choice.
I say, okay, you can be on that list too.
He
And I stand up.
kind of gives you a look and he shakes his head as if to say, "I really don't give a shit, man. You're not signing my paycheck." So yeah, he'll lead you out of the room, and then in the hallway there are two additional guards. So there's 3 guards total. One will stay back in the hallway. The other 2 will escort you. I don't know if you heard the air quotes there, but they will escort you into another room that is, a minute or 2 distance of walking. In this room, you are brought in, and basically there's a table in the center of the room. There's some water. There are 2 people inside already. One of them is Captain Eppenheimer, the chief of staff for Admiral McTaggart, and then, of course, Lieutenant Commander Bryson. On the table is, they both have like a tablet, and then there's also what is obviously a recording device. And you are brought in and more or less asked to take a seat.
Okay.
You're not
By the
being
way,
like physically detained at this point, as far as like being
right.
chained to a table or anything.
Yeah, I'm recording everything.
Okay.
Yeah, he has that special eye and stuff like that.
Remind me and the viewers, but especially me, because I vaguely recall you doing some shit, but now and having some cybernetic type shit, but I don't remember specifically now.
Right. I don't have a cybernetic eye, but I don't need a cybernetic eye. All the cybernetic eye would give me was access to other spectrums and that kind of stuff. And I may eventually do that, but I haven't done it yet. But I can look at an image and store it.
Okay.
So like when we were dealing with the letters and that kind of stuff, and we were having to decode stuff, sometimes I would get that off of Geekstick, but sometimes I would get it visually.
Okay.
So, all this is going through my brain. I've got not just a jack, but I have the neural bridge and everything. So, yeah, I'm trying to record it, whether it's just it's probably just audio. I can't really record video through my natural eye, I don't imagine, but
yeah, because it sounds like you the best you can do is take snapshots, but you almost have to be judicious with that.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to capture as much as I can.
Right.
Okay.
So he's got memory for his memory.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, so the first thing that happens as you are sat down, the one of the two guards will remain standing behind you, slightly offset. So he's not directly behind you, but probably something like a pace and a half behind, and a little bit to one side.
Yeah,
The
they
other
don't. They
guard
don't.
will step out of the room, and then Lieutenant Commander Bryson will mention that. Actually, no. Let me find my notes. Let me see where exactly I am here. Um, Oppenheimer actually quantifies this as an initial series of questions. Uh, Mr. Milligan, you were given a list of potential charges. Am I correct?
No,
She'll look over
you're
at
you're not correct. In it,
Bryson with kind of a, oh yeah, this guy look on her face. She doesn't say that,
mhm.
and then she looks back to you and says, "Okay, Mr. Milligan, for clarity, this conversation is being recorded. And to wit, you and the rest of the crew of the Wayfinder are, in the easiest way to explain it, we are looking into whether or not charges need to be pressed, whether individually or as a group, on the crew of the Wayfinder. And these charges range from vandalism upwards to potential terrorism and/or sedition and/or conspiracy to commit seditious acts. To that note, I do have a number of questions I need to ask. These are a series of preliminary questions. Again, you are not specifically. So I'm trying to figure out of character. I'm trying to explain. Like in my head, this is not actually an investigation just yet. This is more of when you're initially detained for questioning, it's not an actual questioning per se. If that makes any sense at all.
And I lean forward
Yeah.
and say, you mean by the actual police?
I think if you were to be charged, let me rephrase that. Mr. Milligan, here's how this is going to go. I'm going to ask a number of questions. These questions may or may not give me answers I need in order to make a decision and advise the Admiral on whether or not charges need to be filed. And if charges do need to be filed, you and or those responsible or oh my god, palpable, not palpable, culpable, I think that's the right word, will be then turned over to the appropriate authorities, whether they be local or system or perhaps even international court. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, and I can end this really quickly.
Really?
Really. Whether you believe me or not, it's up to you. And from my recent history with Flex, I'm not sure I can trust you at all.
That is an interesting way to begin a series of questions. Let's
Right.
start with this. Who authorized the alterations on the ATV's communication systems, and what was the purpose of said alterations? I really hope my Discord didn't just shit on me.
No, it didn't.
Okay, good.
No. I bet you Milligan's just has that Clint Eastwood stare at her. That's fun.
Probably leaning back in his chair with his arms folded, just staring,
Yep.
not saying shit.
As I told the JAG here, the two people responsible for what happened with the Wayfinder, other than its salvation, you don't have in custody. The people you have in custody right now are the people that saved Flex's ship. Otherwise, we'd all be dead from the two saboteurs that you do not have in custody.
Well, in that case, Mr. Milligan, I'm glad this conversation is being recorded. I don't think I could write that down fast enough. I will ask again that question about the alterations to the ATV's communication system. I'm not at liberty to disclose everything, but I will say that these questions do not pertain specific, or hold on, I'm trying to figure out how I'm phrasing this. The questions I have to ask cover a wider scope than just the Wayfinder and your participation or lack thereof in recent events regarding the ship and its crew.
And I say, and it should.
So again, who authorized the alterations on the ATV's communication system, and what was the purpose?
I'm the pilot. Why would I know?
It's a fair question. How long were you aware of Jason Briggs and Morton Randall's duplicitous nature?
When they went missing.
I'm trying so hard not to laugh. You know I'm too fucking easily amused. What measures did you take to report this information to the next level in your chain of command? And let me remind you before you answer, the next level higher than the captain would be the office of Admiral McTaggart, the commander of the French Armed Squadron.
Because when they went missing, our ship was in a complete catastrophe and we were on a collision course with the planet. So we were a little preoccupied with saving the ship and our lives at that particular moment.
Awesome answer, but also at the same time, I happen to read what Wiggles just put in stream chat. The alterations to the ATV comms was to get pay-per-view. BattleBots Las Vegas was happening. God damn it, Wiggles, you're fucking me up here, man.
Whoa.
Mr. Milligan, I have, I suppose, one last question at this point in time for you. What is your connection to the August Blood organization?
I've never heard of the August Blood organization. I've heard of the Kingdom of Mankind.
Empire of Mankind.
Empire of Mankind, sorry.
No, I know in character you would have said it right.
Yeah, yeah.
In that case, what is your connection to the Empire of Mankind?
I have no connection to the Empire of Mankind.
What is the extent of your knowledge of the Empire of
Ex-
Mankind?
Very little.
While I think that is an answer, that is not the answer related to the wording of the question.
Well, word it again for me, please.
What is the extent of your knowledge of the Empire of Mankind?
A few sentences. A few
God damn-
sentences.
I'm sorry. Fucking Wiggles. I subscribe to the Empire of Mankind's OnlyFans. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. Please, Thurgar, please continue. I'm trying not to be distracted here. Wiggles is kicking my ass.
So he asked me exactly how much knowledge of the
What is,
Empire of
yes,
Mankind
yes.
I have,
Yeah,
and I reply a few sentences. I'm sure your Jag has already related his little slip up when I mentioned his grace.
Yeah, and I think at that point, Oppenheimer will make a few notes on her tablet, her tablet without really looking you directly.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she looks up again, she'll motion for the guard to take you back into your personal quarters.
I'll hold up my hand for just a second.
Yes?
With the corruption that did occur on our ship, and with what was backing that corruption, and the fact that it was at the highest level of command on that ship, I have no way of knowing if the upper echelon of Flex is all involved. So you see, that puts me and the rest of these people in a very precarious situation. I personally am a very honest individual. And if you were to ask me questions that didn't seem geared to place blame on the blameless, I would be answering your questions with no problems. But again, I have to fear that you're one of them, which puts me in a no-win situation. So right at this moment, in the conditions that you're keeping us, without the authority to really even do so, I'm not very apt to be cooperative,
Mr. Milligan,
but yet maintain my truthfulness.
Mr. Milligan, I think you and I are on the same side. The problem is there are 20-something other people on your ship, and God knows only how many across the rest of Flex, let alone the rest of human space, whose true natures we have yet to discern. And that is the purpose of these questions. You are currently aware of a very small slice in a much larger pie. I can see some of that pie, but even I and the Admiral himself can only handle or perceive so much ourselves. I thank you for your time. There may be some follow-up questions. I wish I could give you more information at this time, but I just cannot.
Okay. So one last parting comment here. The JAG, was it yesterday or 2 days ago now?
It would have been yesterday, but yeah.
Right. Said that we weren't being held against our will, that we were free to come and go as we pleased, yet our doors are locked, we're guarded, we're separated. Was he just lying to me at that point?
I'm not privy to the words he used, but I will point it out, and I'll try to be clear as possible for you. You are not under arrest. You are detained. You could attempt to leave on your own accord. It is strongly not recommended for a number of reasons. One in particular, these guards are allowed to use up to less than lethal force if necessary, and lethal force for their own protection if needed, to ensure that you and the rest of your crew remain in a place where we can have access to the individuals that we suspect may or may not be involved, whether directly or indirectly, in any number of potential conspiracies and or plots.
And are you doing this to shield us from the police, or are you doing this so our story doesn't get out?
I think she actually has a smirk.
Any other civilian corporation would simply turn this over to the police and let the police deal with it. You don't really have the legal authority to do what you're doing here right now.
When it comes to corporate or non-government organizations such as ours,
It's who has the guns. I understand that. That's why there wasn't
yeah, I was trying to find a
at the
nice
ship.
way to say that.
No, I know exactly
she
where
wasn't
he's going.
like she wouldn't necessarily like sugarcoat it, but she wouldn't come right out and say like, "Listen, we've got the gun. Shut the fuck up and go back to your
Yeah.
room." But that's what she's
We have
trying to
plenty of
get
guns.
at ultimately.
Yeah, we have plenty of guns too, and it could have been ugly. We chose not to because all the members of the crew, as far as we know, that remained on the ship were blameless. You
I
may
think
still find an
I think
agent
at this
or two.
point,
I have no idea.
Thorgor, I'm going to cut in really quick just
Mhm.
because I think she would cut in at this point, and she stands up, and she's not overly aggressive when she does this, but she stands up and she puts a hand up with her palm towards you to stop you, and then she looks at the guard and she looks at Bryson, and she says, "Both of you out."
She has some fart.
God
She
damn it.
throws Bryson and the guard out.
Yes.
Okay.
And when the door closes, and she's, and
I
mind you,
I
the whole
watch them go.
time,
I turn around and
Yeah.
watch them go.
yeah, and when you turn back to her, she
Mhm.
still has her hand up. And she says very, very quietly, "You may, I'm not going to make you roll like a perception or whatever the fuck to make sure you actually hear her." And she says, "Listen, I hear you. I cannot say more. I need you to work with us." And she doesn't say anything else. She puts her hand back down. She makes a motion. As she sits back down, she makes a motion for the door, indicating, of course, for you to leave.
Okay. As I leave, I turn back one last time and say, you might get more cooperation out of us if you allowed us to do this together. But separating us like this is only going to put every single person on edge and on the defensive. And I walk out.
Yeah, as you're walking out, I think she doesn't really look up. I think there might be a small nodding motion of sorts as she inputs a few things into her tablet. And as you walk out, the guard will, not roughly, but definitely in a securing sort of way, will grab the back of your upper arm and lead you back into your previous accommodations.
Is this while the door's still open?
As you're walking out, like so basically what the guard is thinking is like, okay, this captain who is more or less, number 2 or number 3 as far as the admiral and his leadership goes, just told me to step outside. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but here's the prisoner in this trooper's mind, right? The prisoner is now coming out. Let me go ahead and I'm assuming I'm
under my own power.
Yeah. And so let me just take him back to his room until somebody tells me something else, because that's all I know to do right now. So he's not being rough or rude, but he is definitely doing that. Like, I am a guard of sorts. I need to make sure I have physical control over you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, he didn't do that on the way here, though. I say, I know the way.
I think he may or may not relax a little bit along the way, but he's still going to keep at the very least, a hand resting on your shoulder as you proceed down the hallway back to your room.
Because this
way. God damn it, Wiggles!
This 150-pound physique is scaring the crap out of him right now.
Real quick aside, when I was in the Army, I had a soldier who was under arrest or imprisoned. I don't remember exactly. And I was tasked with picking him up, escorting him from wherever he was being held to meet with probably his lawyer or JAG or something like that. This was years ago, so I don't really remember all the details. And we had stopped, and we were sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and I guess somebody recognized who he was, or at the very least knew what was going on. And the next day, I'm called into, we'll just say, my boss's office, and I'm given a bit of a talking to about how I did not keep this individual soldier under physical control, even though I was briefed and I had signed paperwork saying I was briefed that I would literally keep a hand on this guy the entire time. As far as, because, he's a prisoner and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that whole guard thing is like, that individual knows his job and knows what he's supposed to be doing. Good.
My dad is U.S. Army Special Forces.
Yeah.
And when we lived in Leavenworth, sometimes they would use the Special Forces guys for prisoner transfer.
Yeah.
And so he would go in there in the little quiet room, sit the person down, and say, the rules are I have to tell you halt 3 times before I shoot you. Halt, halt, halt. Let's go. And he said he never had anybody try to get away from him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, who's up next?
So, yeah.
I'll go.
All right, let's go, Wiggles.
All right.
Wiggles, you get the same deal. The guard...
Does he touch me? Does the guard touch me?
Does the guard need to touch you?
I will not present the case for the guard to touch me. Does the guard touch me?
He won't touch you unless he needs to.
Okay.
So he'll come in and basically say, hey, I got to take you down to the room for a meeting. Are you ready?
Sure, whatever. I mean, this is like 200 livre a day for keeping me against my will. So, let's slow boat this as much as possible. Hey, that's compensation for being held against your will, So let's, whatever.
20 years from now, there's going to be somebody out there going, were you ever held against your will, or somebody you know or love held against their will? They may be entitled to extra compensation.
Well, right. Okay, so California rates it about $140 to $200 per day that you're held against your will. So.
Oh, okay. All right, I see where you're going with this. All right.
That's where I'm pulling that up. Yeah, and since you're not a cop, that's assault if you touch me, so that's just more money for me. When this gets taken to court. So where the fuck are we? Where are we going? Can you tell me? Do you know where we are?
Yeah, we're on the Gabriella Davies Memorial Station, the same place you've been docked. We're in one of the hab rings, and I'm taking you to go see the chief of staff and some lawyer dude.
Does the station know Flex is running an illegal prison?
This is a Flex station.
Oh, it's a Flex station running an illegal prison.
Sure. I guess. The guard kind of gives you that look, because like, and I'm assuming
you're cool being a prison guard of an illegal prison. That's your moral compass. That's your bottom floor here. I'm okay being a guard for an illegal prison. I just want you to say the words. I acknowledge it.
So the guard's just kind of like, he sees where it takes him a minute or two, right? Like, you ask him a couple of questions, he kind of answers them. He's like, all right, yeah, whatever. And then eventually he catches on. He's like, you son of a bitch, you led me into this. And he doesn't say anything more. He's just like, come on, we gotta go.
Hey, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. You're my prison guard of an illegal prison, and I'm being held illegally. So let's go. You're morally okay with this. That's not my deal. I'm not judging you, but I'm also not going to sugarcoat this for you.
This
You're a
isn't my
prison
kink, but I'm
guard.
not gonna kink shame you.
No. But transparency, illegally held against my will, and you're doing it.
Yeah, the guard really doesn't know what else to say. And in fact, I think as he opens the door leading to the chief of staff and the lawyer guy, he's definitely like, I got nothing. And he just closes the door and lets you be.
So I'm owed 13,062 livre. I'm also owed a prorated amount of my salary. I'm also owed money for hazard pay for commanding the ship during a dangerous situation, preventing the ship from becoming a rod of God, destroying the colony down below. I'm compensated for a lot of money for doing my duty for Flex, and here I am being held against my will in a legal prison. So how's your day going? Are you my lawyer? Because if you're not my lawyer, I'm just going to go back in my hole that it's illegal for me to be in.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing again. So this opening bit from you, that's directed towards Captain Oppenheimer, the chief of staff?
Yeah. That's what I say.
Okay.
I'm owed this money.
Yeah, and then et cetera. And also, are you my lawyer? Well, you recognize Bryson as the individual you berated before, the previous day, who is there now. And Captain Oppenheimer just kind of looks up to you and says, Mr. Wyatt, I hear you. I have to ask. Please take a seat. I have a number of questions I'd like to ask you.
Where did you study law from? What law school?
Are you asking her that, or are you asking Bryson?
Yeah, I'm asking her that. Where'd you go? Do you have a law degree? Does anyone have a law degree here? I don't have a law degree, but I'm literate. I know they can be hard to understand because I'm from Barnard Star from the belts. And, there's a jokes about that. I understand that. But I can't actually read. I was an XO of a spacecraft pulling out $2 million a month. So, whatever. Are you a lawyer? Do you have a law degree? Where did you get it?
I am not a lawyer. I do not have a law degree.
All right, cool,
I am charged with asking a number of questions to each of the crew of the Wayfinder. As directed by Admiral McTaggart himself.
Fantastic. So you're not my lawyer, so fuck off.
Are you refusing to answer these questions?
I will answer any question you have when I have counsel available for me.
Very well. And she will tell the guard to take you back to your, illegal holding area.
Yeah, illegal holding area, yeah. Illegal 13,062 livre, plus a prorated amount of my monthly salary, plus hazard pay.
Wiggles, I love you, man. I'm picturing you saying this shit literally as you're walking out the door, and there may or may not be a middle finger float up there somewhere, too.
What? So the $13,000 is our share of the profits from the ship.
Oh, so that's the profits that you guys have made thus far divided by every person on the crew.
Mm-hmm. One share per, unless it doesn't work that way, yeah.
No, well... So initially the plan was 70% of your profits would go to Flex, the other 30% would be divided by the crew.
Yep, 30% divided by 27 people is $13,000 a piece.
Awesome. All right. Good to know. So Mr. Wyatt is brought back to his holding area, and that takes us to Mr. Hellwig.
Did that guard touch me?
And only if you give him reason to. Like, I mean, he might touch you insofar as directing you down this hallway, down that hallway, but anything beyond...
If he touches me, I'll just say that's assault.
I think the guard will just kind of smirk a little bit and be like, okay. As long as you go that way, I don't have to touch you any more than touching you.
You're not a cop. This is legal prison. I don't want you touching me. That's assault.
Duly noted. I think that comes out of his mouth at least twice.
I'm being escorted by a guard who's okay with legal prisons. I'm being escorted by a guard who's okay with legal prisons. I'm being escorted by a guard who's okay with legal prisons.
I can't wait for Charles.
I know. I'm sure Charles is gonna be doing the Macarena the whole fucking way.
Oh,
All right,
no,
Charles. Hellwig is being approached by his own guard, and he is being directed to escort you to an interview.
an interview? Are we gonna go see the wizard?
Job.
and I'm just gonna start whistling rough to see the
I
wizard.
was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. I hope you have that meme in Discord tonight. I hope you did.
Not yet.
Not yet, but it will be. All right.
And I'm gonna just go skipping down the way, and every so often just turn at like every crossroad, look both ways, like Jim Belushi did it at the Animal House scene where he's like trying to look at the girls, look both ways, look back at the guards, look like I'm getting ready to run, and then just start skipping further down the way.
I think you see the guard trying to keep up with you. So he's got to walk a little bit faster, maybe even a slight jog to keep up with you. In order to keep at least pretend that you're being escorted to some degree. And then he brings you into the little office or what have you with Captain Oppenheimer and Commander Bryson.
As soon as I see Commander Bryson, I'm gonna go, "Hey, sailor! Oh, wait, an extra person is gonna cost you an extra 1,000 lira." I'm just gonna go, "Hey, beautiful."
Oh my god. This is fucking crazy. This is so atypical for Hellwig, too, at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, because normally Hellwig is, like, straight up, like, if you need me to shoot him, I guess I could do that. And I don't really want to kill anybody. I could probably wing him.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I mean, like everything else to this point was very German and upright and very...
Now he's so antagonistic.
very, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm assuming you'll take a seat?
Yep. I'll grab the chair, kind of spin it around, so I'm sitting with the back.
You're gonna do the cool kid sit?
Yeah, the cool kid sit, complete with the Riker.
With the Riker leg over. There you go.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Oh my god.
Right?
The Riker leg over. Y'all know that when Riker did that whole putting his leg on shit or whatever, apparently that was because Jonathan Frakes had an injury years and years prior, and that helped actually alleviate some of the tension, in his lower back or something like that. That was why Riker always had that leg up.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'm gonna sit down. I'm just gonna sit down, and look at both of them, and I'm gonna reach over and pretend to like open a briefcase, and then whip out some papers, and basically look at them and go, "You both know why you're here, right?"
Jesus Christ! Did you watch a bunch of MASH before this? Is that what you did?
No.
This is some Kramer. Or no, not Kramer. What's his name?
No, it's Murdoch. It's telling Matt Murdoch.
Oh no! I'm thinking from MASH though. The guy that was always trying to go home. It's not Kramer.
Klinger.
That's it.
Klinger. Yeah. No, I haven't watched any of that. No,
yeah, this is a Klinger. This is a Klinger Murdoch love child right here.
Yes.
He'd be wearing a dress. Yeah.
Wearing a dress and eating a Jeep.
So I'm gonna go. You're both here for illegally detaining a successful work crew. You're here for willing to commit treason, and I'm just gonna read through this litany of fake charges. And
Mr. Hellwig, let's get serious. I think we both have. Well, I know I have plenty of things to do today. I know Mr. Bryson has plenty of things to do. You've got some work to do on your improvisational skills. Just calling it like I see it. But let's get down to it.
Happy.
What's that?
All right. I look at her and just said, I thought it was great, but I only got like an A- at class. Anyhow, let's go to it. Let's do it.
Mr. Hellwig, you are aware, of course, of the number of charges that may or may not be assigned to you. I don't know if assigned, that's not the right word. Pressed upon you. Should we find the necessity?
Yeah. My partner in crime right there. I specifically point towards him and say it loud enough, like Deadpool style. My partner in crime right here told me that I was being charged with these things.
I want to be clear. You're not being charged. It is the potentiality that we are investigating right now.
Right.
That you may be
Yeah.
charged should we find sufficient reason. And once charged, you will be remanded by the appropriate authorities based on the nature of said charges.
And you understand that even per flex code, and I sit there and reach across my arm and type up something and basically pull up the flex rules. I said, even if we're being interviewed, I have a right and I ramble off some spacer code, blah blah blah, to have a lawyer here or a duly designated union representative. And I put my hands out going, I see nobody and nobody. So
In that
until we
case, Mr.
continue with,
Helbig, are you refusing to answer these questions until you have such representation available?
well, I was advised by my date there, and again I point towards him, to his direction, that anything I say can and will be used against me potentially in a court of law. And so one only has to assume that I'm going to be in trouble, but I'm willing to listen. I'm a great listener. So let us talk. I can't promise what my answers will be, but let us talk.
I will go ahead and ask these questions then. You are aware that you are being recorded both in voice and action, yes?
Yes.
I knew you were going to say something like that.
I'm just rolling my eyes. It's like, I'm not like some 18-year-old
I'm
kid.
not dumb. I think they first start. I think she first starts with why didn't the Wayfinder participate in search and rescue operations following the terrain station attack?
Because the skipper was bent to beat feet out to the first spot. I mean, the ship logs seem to say something about whatever. I don't know. I was down in the vehicle bays, or I was performing ship security. I wasn't really involved with all that.
Well,
Last I knew.
Go ahead.
I
I
think
said
I
last
asked the
time.
captain that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. I was like, last I knew, we didn't hear about it till we were coming out of study work at the first stop.
Speaking of vehicle bays, who authorized the alterations on the ATV communication system, and what was the purpose?
What alterations?
The alterations to the ATV communication system that allowed you to tap directly into the ship-based communications array that allowed you to pick up messages that were allegedly surreptitiously sent and received.
If you have them, you read them. All I'm gonna say is, who authorized it? You need to ask Admiral Karaoke, and I'm gonna say karaoke in such a weird way that it's gonna sound like
you're gonna use your best Japanese accent, so it doesn't sound like
yeah,
karaoke. It sounds more like
yeah,
karaoke.
yeah. It actually sounds like a real person.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. What is your connection? Excuse me. What was your connection to the former senior trooper Stephen McAvoy?
Well, he was a pain in my posterior, and always wanted to put holes in the ship. Other than that, all I knew was that he was a great shotman, and he helped us clear that first station. We stopped off at, and I rattle off the name and like kind of run through the quick litany of the combat zone. But other than that, he was giving my guys a hard time that worked for me on the ship. But all I knew was that he was a member of the crew.
Were you aware of his past as a pirate enforcer and leader in the Chinese arm under his actual name of James Huckleberry prior to his enlistment with Flex?
Well, and I'm going to look down at her tablet. I'm sure she has my records. And I'm going to say, are you aware that I was a colonial police officer and a special security enforcement officer for such and such, rattle off the company I work for?
At Innsbruck?
Yes. Yeah, at Innsbruck. And yes, I may or may not have run across him while I was in an undercover operation, but I am still covered by an NDA, and I cannot talk about those.
Indeed. We'll find out more about that. Who ordered the kill team to eliminate Mr. McAvoy / Mr. Huckleberry?
Kill a who's a what?
Who ordered the kill team to eliminate him?
And as far as I know, we were all drinking at a thing, and he says he had some strange dude come up to him and say, "Hey, man, I got a special deal on those things you're looking for," and he walking out the bar. The rest of us from the troop were staying there drinking and singing songs. And I just start going into 99 bottles of beer in the wall. And then I go, what was that one from Jaws where they I'm drunk and I need to go home, and I just and I start whistling that one a few seconds later. And just
Lastly,
yeah,
lastly, Mr. Hellwig, what is your connection to the August Blood organization?
August Blood. All I know about them is that they are potentially some organization of interest to all of the major law enforcement and security force teams. That's all I know. No one
I will
knows
give
much
you
more
I
than
will
that.
give you this much because of your law enforcement history. August Blood is a low-level mercenary outfit uh, that has been known in the past for doing almost literally anything for a contracted payment, including acts of terrorism. There are
Yeah,
some, if you recall, I forget which station exactly, but there was one station, I think it was actually at Hochbaden, Neubayern, rather. I believe you
yeah,
had tied into the local news net to see what was going on as far as local news and whatnot.
right.
Um, I won't make you roll for this, but there was a mention of on a very low level of interest slash impact for the local citizenry. So this would have been probably like something on, I don't know, the local PBS news. And in
Yeah,
recent news, it's believed that the August Blood organization is responsible for blah 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 blah. And so
right.
what you had picked up and may very well have dismissed as either not necessarily pertinent but also whatever, not important right now. It may have been actually that the August Blood organization were the ones that actually conducted the attack, perhaps even at the behest of the Empire of Mankind.
Right. Well, and so with that known, I'm just going to mention that, based on the information I know from the background, but all I know is that every time someone's put an agent into them, the agent either shows up dead or is never heard from again. Short of maybe some AI kind of gathers that former agent is now wearing their uniform. So I don't know anything beyond what's available in the security nets. And if you have it, then I've had it.
I think Oppenheimer and Bryson both take a few notes, uh, and obviously they type a few notes into their tablet, and then Oppenheimer does that stereotypical hand motion to the guard standing behind you, and the guard will effectively lead you back to your room.
Oh, and then so I'm gonna just kind of stand up and then do a quick sad trombone and say, "But we could have talked about a whole bunch of other stuff." But I will say this: there is potentially some things that we could talk about that are in depth if I have representation to talk to first.
Noted, Mr. Hellwig. This will most likely be resolved. Well, if it was up to me, it'd be resolved already. But knowing how things work, probably the next day or two.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay. All right. Whatever. Hey, can you tell the cooks that the omelets are undercooked and I'm tired of chicken every night? Because it'd be nice to have something else.
Unfortunately, I don't have. Listen, I might be a captain, but I don't have that sort of control. And she
And
won't
so
say
I'm
that
just gonna,
as
I'm,
she won't say that in the humorous bent that I just did. Sound a
yeah,
little bit
yeah,
more
yeah,
crisp.
yeah, yeah. Well, and so then I'm just gonna mouth that, man. You're a captain,
I'm a
and
captain, but I can't control who gets to eat what.
right, and I'm not being illegally detained. Oh my God, I could have died, but these guys here that I'm talking to saved us, but we're gonna treat them like criminals. No. You understand why we're all being aggressive and being annoyed to you, right?
I think she just kind of gives you one of those looks of similar to when she told Milligan, I hear you, etc., etc. And
Yeah.
she doesn't say much more than that, but I think you having that a little extra how to read a person because of your police
Mm-hmm.
force training, I think you get
Yeah.
that moment of, okay, no, she's not just dumb and doing this blindly. She actually does seem to understand.
Right. So, and at that point too, I'm gonna go. Hey, that last stop before all hell broke loose, we stopped someplace. The skipper restricted everyone. None of the doors could open for a lot of us, even the security force team. But he magically went ashore for 12 hours, and it wasn't counted in the ship's log.
It wasn't 12 hours. It was only like 2 or 3 or something like that.
Well, yeah.
But I got you. Yeah, because you're talking about when he was like, I don't want anybody leaving the ship because,
Yep.
I want to
Yep.
get underway again. I'm going to go
Yep.
take care of
Yep.
stuff. I got to check in with Flex, and I need to do it in person.
Yeah. We barely even had a chance to offload cargo, unload cargo. All we did was gas, dump,
Yep.
waste product, and that's about it.
Yep.
That's when we all started having suspicions that that something stunk.
Yeah. Stuff isn't
Yep. And again, I'm trying to tell you this, and I don't know if your date over there knows this,
your
but the
day.
ship logs were corrupted.
What was that last part?
Your ship's logs were corrupted, so it wasn't tracking him getting off that ship at that point.
I do
I'm
vaguely
just gonna
recall
kind of.
somebody talking about that at one point in time. Like there was no record of him actually leaving and or
Mm-hmm.
returning on that particular excursion. Like the one time the
Mm-hmm.
captain actually leaves the ship and it's not actually recorded.
Yeah. 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 And we didn't do it. Okay.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. But if you want to hear more and you want to read some stuff, I'm saying I want my union rep or I want my lawyer.
Noted, Mr. Hellwig. Your cooperation is appreciated. And I think when she says that about your
Yeah.
cooperation being appreciated, she is trying her level best to make it cold official. But I think
Right.
when she says that particular part, your cooperation and appreciated, I think she throws
Mm-hmm.
just the tiniest extra bit of inflection just so you know, not so much that you know that she's on your side, but that she's aware that
Mm-hmm.
this isn't necessarily the best way to conduct an investigation, but she's
Yeah.
kind of stuck where she is with it.
Right. Right. Well, and my whole attitude, although it's probably not coming well in my voice, has been very much. I first tried bluffing with them and joking around with them and just having them treat me like an absolute fool. And then recognizing that I'm dealing with somebody who's also well trained in counterintelligence or whatever else. So now I am definitely like, okay, let's play good cop, bad cop, and let's just go from here. I'm going to give you what you may need, but I'm not going to say much more. That I'm not going to give away all my secrets because I don't have many cards to play until I get representation. And so, and on my way out, I'm going to say I need to speak to the XO of the ship.
And she will make another entry into her tablet and make some sort of sound that sounds like understood. And then
Okay.
close the scene.
Close the scene. Yeah. So I'm going to skipping out again with
Yeah, of course.
singing something else and barely keeping up with the
You gotta
guy and
frolic
going.
through the hallways
Yeah.
on the way back to
Yep.
your
Yep.
personal space.
Yep.
So we're gonna go ahead and fast forward yet another day.
No, wait.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In our cells, are there guards outside in the hallway?
So the way I am envisioning it is you have a hallway, and there's probably something like 3 or 4 or 5 individual rooms on each side of the hallway, and then in the hallway are 2, possibly 3 guards.
Okay. So can they hear us if we talk? Can I
If you
if
try
we
to talk
shout
through
for
the walls or whatever.
Yeah.
If you attempt to do so, you're not sure if they're just not responding or if the next room over to you is not occupied.
Okay. So before we go on the next day, this will be my rhetoric that I'll do throughout, my waking hours.
Sure.
Like, hey, the Wayfinder got sabotaged, and its stellar warp wouldn't stop heading towards the planet. Would have destroyed the entire ship, possibly injured a lot of the colony below, but we managed to save it, and our reward is an illegal prison. Hey, if you screw up, what are they going to do to you? Are they going to throw you to another illegal prison? Wow. Can you tell Mr. Rogers about your job right now? Do you think your mom and dad would be approving what you're doing right now, being a guard to an illegal prison? You married? You got loved ones? You think you can tell them about this? Do you think, oh, I understand? Or you think I'm gonna be pissed about it? I'm gonna be pissed about it. Mr. Rogers wouldn't be pissed. He's too much of a nice person, but he would be disappointed.
He would be disappointed. I was waiting. I was gonna say something like he wouldn't be upset. He'd just be disappointed. I was waiting for that. I think at some point, a couple of times, you hear like a tap tap on your door, and then it stops, and it doesn't happen. And what is actually happening that you probably wouldn't be privy to, but I want to explain it to you so you get the idea of what I'm trying to illustrate, but it may not be doing so well, is that outside in the hallway, a guard is hearing you, and he's hitting on the door to get you to shut up, but the other guard is like, no, don't respond. Eventually he's going to stop. If you respond, he will know that you can hear him, and he will keep going.
Yeah, like those old scenes in the movies where you run the cup up and down the bars.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Or like, if you have kids or a cat and something happens, or not cat, but like a pet, and you're like, if you respond, they respond. But if you don't respond, they'll learn that this is pointless. And so that's what the guard is trying to do. He's trying to convey that to the other guard.
But look at me! I get a paycheck for being for helping people against the will that saved the colony and saved the ship. Oh, aren't I a big person? Oh wow, yeah. I can't tell my children about this because if I did, they might stop loving me because I'm doing something horrendous and unethical and immoral. But hey, here I am on a space station with a gun holding people against their will. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, I'm doing that for like every waking hour. I don't care if they can hear. They were able to talk to me through the wall because that's what happened on the. No, I wouldn't know that I was asleep. Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no. At the very least, like, you're being watched, probably being recorded. So now, if at the very least, like, this is being recorded somewhere somehow, even if the people in the hallway aren't hearing you. So a cat will just lacerate you if you ignore it. No, you're not wrong. The cat, in my case, the cat will just keep rubbing against my leg and then sit on my feet. And then 5-ish minutes later, will be like, I'm going to attack your feet now because you're not paying attention to me. Does anybody else have anything else they want to do real quick before we skip forward another day?
Yeah, I mean, all I'm doing between sleeping is like taking my socks. I've taken my socks off and rolled them up into a ball and just kind of bounce them off the wall and going back and retrieving them.
If you don't have a tennis ball, you make a tennis ball.
Exactly. Yep.
Anything to keep the brain occupied so you don't lose your shit. Go ahead, Wiggles. I think you were trying to say something too.
I don't know. Can anyone from the crew hear me?
Not that you're aware of. You're not getting any sort of indication that anybody else hears you.
All right, that's fine. Whatever. Yeah.
Milligan, anything?
I'm gonna do one thing.
What's that?
Before I lay down to go to sleep again, you said the security camera was kind of hastily installed and it like has wires going into some outlet somewhere.
So usually if you're gonna put like a security camera up on a wall or something, it'll be fastened on there, but the wire itself would be it wouldn't be visible, or if it was, it would be for as short of a distance as possible. In this case, what you're getting is wires that run from, stay somewhere on the ceiling or the corner of the ceiling on the wall down to like a few feet off the floor and then into some electrical outlet. Not an electrical outlet, but you know what I'm trying to say. Something along those lines, yeah.
So I'm going to go jerk it out, and then I'm going to start counting and see how long it takes for somebody to get in here.
Oh, it doesn't take very long at all.
Okay. And who is it?
It's the guards that are out in the hallway.
So I'm like sitting on my bed doing my counting.
Oh,
I'll
that,
even count.
like you
I'll
pull
even
on the
count
so
out
you pull
loud.
yeah. You probably get to like 6 before somebody's
Okay.
opening the door. And
Okay.
part of that is and what you probably will put together in your head. Again, I'm not gonna make you roll for this one. It's not so much the actual pulling on the cable; it's the fact that they saw that you were about to do something to
Oh
the
yeah.
cable, and they're like, "Nope,
Okay.
stop him now."
Mhm.
Room number 6, get that guy to stop pulling on the wire.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Um,
make sure he knows I'm counting out loud
oh
to see
yeah,
how long
yeah.
it takes for him to come in and
Yeah.
restore it or
On
whatever.
6, you hear the door. On 7, the door's opening, and on 8, he's in the room. Like, hey, stop fucking with that wire. I don't want to have to tell you
I,
again.
I laugh and say, "Oopsie."
My bad, the chair leg got caught on
And
it.
on 9 and 10, let's pick up sticks.
Yeah.
Right? All right, we move on to the 19th of May. It is this is Tuesday. Again, this is around 10 a.m. and you guys are being gathered up. Actually, as it turns out, all 3 of you, along with a number of other people, are all on the same level. So that hallway that serves, 6 or 8 individual rooms, the 3 of you, along with Alicia Wyatt, are brought out into the hallway. There are a number of guards out there, and at any point in time, if anybody were to try to say anything or interact with anybody else, all of the guards are quick to respond with, shut up, start, we're moving, we're not talking. But what you will notice is that each of the guards, they are armed with both their sidearms and a rifle. The rifles are secured across their backs. The sidearms are secured in their holsters. Each of them is also carrying a backpack, whether on one shoulder, both shoulders, whatever the case might be. And their helmets, they are not racked like on their shoulders, like they're not wearing the helmets, but they have their helmets with them.
Uh-huh.
And so effectively, it looks like they're all ready to actually like not just go to another room, but potentially to somewhere other than this station.
And
Yeah.
these are not sonic weapons.
No. These are the real, like, I will shoot you in the
Right.
face with a bullet kind of weapon.
Okay.
Ooh.
The group is led ultimately into the. Hang on, I'm trying to find the right spot in my notes because I was ad-libbing a little bit there. You're pulled from your personal space and led with whatever belongings you've been able to retain so far towards a hangar bay leading directly into space. In the pressurized compartment, a British Exospace R40 commercial pinnace. I really didn't want to use this one, but it looks cool, and I didn't like the word. Anyways, this R40, you know where I'm going with this. I hate that word. I know
Yes.
it's a real thing, but I hate that word.
Is it like a stocky penis? Is it
Yeah,
a?
Okay.
I'm not flying around in a pinnace.
Anyways, this
Do they have a
R40,
lot
so
of
it's
like,
R40
cables on the
commercial
outside of it?
space plane. Let's go with that. It just isn't a
Mm.
space plane. It's also one of those ships for the viewers. It's a ship that instead of being built like a spaceship, like space shuttle or aircraft, this is one of those kinds of spaceships like the Rocinante, where it's the decks are stacked vertically, kind of like a building flying through space. There's a gangplank that leads from the deck of the hangar up to roughly the second or third deck down from the nose. A tail sitter. Yeah, there you go. That works. That's where the passenger compartment is. As you're brought out to the ship, a number of people are standing around. In particular, we have Carl Spearman, Paul Gray. Obviously, I mentioned Alicia Wyatt already, and Buford Aiello. There's also a number of armored troops nearby, each with, as I mentioned, a backpack, their rifle, their sidearm, and their helmets. The backpacks all appear to be almost literally stuffed to the gills. So, they got that big bulbous look to them. Before anybody can really do anything, once you are all brought together, Captain Oppenheimer appears and approaches the assembled group and starts speaking. You lot are being sent down to the planet to be held for further interviews that will be coming over the next few days. I am told the accommodations will be a bit more comfortable than what we have been able to provide up here. I realize this has been a challenging situation for you, and for what it's worth, her voice drops a little bit, and the next words come out with a little bit more emotion than what might otherwise be expected in this situation. I really wish it hadn't come to this. She takes a breath, straightens up again and looks over to this troop sergeant and says, "Sergeant, get them on the ship and get underway." And at this point, Oppenheimer will abruptly turn on her heel and stalk off, and a ship's troop with a bunch of sergeant stripes on his armor will take charge and start basically pushing everybody onto the ship, onto the not phallic symbol.
Right. As she's walking away, I'm gonna go, "Bye, sweetheart.
Of course you are.
We really missed you."
Okay, so when do we kill Paul Gray? You don't kill Paul Gray. Come on, man.
Paul Gray cracked, and he told on all of us.
You don't know that.
Oh,
I don't know.
come on.
Okay, so at this point, as you're getting loaded up into the passenger bay, you do have a moment to interact with each other to some extent. Because, of course, as you're trying to interact, the troopers are going to be busy trying to basically get everybody to get into a seat and get buckled in so the ship can, so the little lander can not land, but fly.
Right. I'm just gonna look over the XO and go, karaoke. You know. And
The question now is, does the XO respond, or is he too busy looking at his wife that he hasn't seen for a few days?
I'm definitely looking for my wife, and I'm trying to find my wife. That is 100% going to be happening. That's my first goal.
Yeah. And how does Hellwig feel about that?
I don't care. I'm just, I'm just nice to see him and see Milligan again, and just, I'll go up and give a fist pump and say, I stayed strong. We all stayed strong, but and I'm just going to say,
you right there, sit down, get strapped in. We are leaving.
Oh, we're leaving. Oh, okay, whatever. So I'm going to sit down.
Yeah, and by the time you actually sit in the seat, there's a guard, or not a guard, but another one of the ship troops that comes over, and he's like, not aggressively, but definitely making it a point of like, no, I'll help you with your seat restraints.
Oh, and I'm gonna go, ooh,
ooh. Normally I have to pay for this sort of attention.
Right? I'm not gonna kick shame, but ooh, I like.
Ooh, you're a big, strong guy.
Yeah,
Mr. Milligan. Mr. Milligan, do you have anything you want to input at this point as you're being ferried onto the landing craft and otherwise being told to sit down and buckle in?
Do these ship troops have names on them? Their armor or
yeah, they would have like at least some sort of like rank insignia for those that have it, and a name tag or something. Probably on the back of their helmets as well.
Yep, I'm gonna do my best to log that.
Snap.
I'm gonna get a good lawyer.
Snap.
I'm gonna sue the shit out of everybody. We're gonna own Flex.
Flex isn't going to be able to save humanity. Flex is going to be on fire and drowning.
That's right. Fuck Flex. We're going to start our own.
No, so we've had the question about how do we afford our own ship?
Yeah,
right?
How do we afford our own ship?
Turns out the settlement was really good.
Just give us a ship. We'll leave you alone.
Right? So yeah, then and of course Spearman and Aiello, they're both looking at it, and would you guys notice those two knuckleheads? They've both got some shiners on them. Bruised faces. Nothing like outlandish or excessive, but like, one's got a bruised eye, the other one's got like a really big bruise and a cut on his cheekbone.
Oh, if Wyatt catches eye of that, he's pissed.
Yeah. And then Paul Gray will be taking a seat. He's actually trying to make his way towards Hellwig, but because at first, like, he sits down and then he sees where Hellwig sits, and he starts to get up, and there's a trooper, and he's like, no, that was a good spot for you. Sit down. And then whatever open spots there are, they're used up by the troopers once you guys are secured, and they're normally you'd have a guard like standing or whatever, but like that's not safe because you're about to do orbital maneuvers and then go to do re-entry and all that shit. So everybody needs to get strapped in, and then eventually the pinnace launches, and it takes roughly an hour or so to get back down onto the surface of Beowulf. Hooray! We made it to Beowulf finally.
Right. I mean, that whole time I'm just like tripping out too. I'm like, oh my god, we're all gonna die. We're burning up.
Oh
Because
shit! Go ahead.
well, look, like honestly, I still have PTS
Yeah,
from the
I
everything.
love
So
it.
I'm,
I mean, I don't
you
love
know,
it, but you know what I mean.
yeah, I'm just sitting there twitching and also trying to help explain why I was being a little weird and unusual at the space station too. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I am just like, "Ooh, are we gonna die? Is it getting too hot in here? I can't breathe. All this other fun stuff.
Yeah. Does
You
anybody else
know,
think it's odd here? Because this man, I can't breathe. What the hell's going on? Like,
yeah,
what's going on? You got the
exactly, yeah,
bouncing leg in your seat
yep,
too. Yeah.
yep. And my mouth's running a mile a minute with things and
Totally
observations and
random
little
things
stuff.
too. In
Yeah,
things that are like inconsequential and not at all related.
exactly. Yeah, and like some of the stuff I watched from the training film.
Random facts about atmospheric pressure inside a ship as it goes through the orbital
Yeah,
interface and whatever
yeah,
else. Yeah, got it, got it. That's
yeah,
awesome. I love it. Yeah, once launched, it takes about an hour or so before the pinnace touches down again. At which point, everybody is now shuffled from the pinnace onto a wheeled transport that will then head off from the local starport and into eventually a well fenced off facility that is. I'm going to be honest with you. It does not look like a prison whatsoever. If anything, and first off, let me just so imagine, it's not a school bus, it's not a prison bus, it's a large vehicle meant to carry 20 plus people, right? So it's a bus ish, right? It's
right.
got windows. You're able to see around. There's nothing, there's no shaded windows. The guards, there's a couple of guards that are slowly working their way up and down the aisle between seats. There's a couple standing up in the back, couple standing up at the front by the driver. But that's like those guys standing and doing that stuff. Those are the only people that otherwise indicate that you are in any sort of like detainee status, because
Mhm.
otherwise, like this vehicle, it's not a corporate suite, or excuse me, a corporate level luxury or anything like that. It's an adequate vehicle. It was purposely not put together, but it was purposely chartered to move a bunch of people from one point and into another point. Uh,
It's like a service bus to get you from the
yeah,
parking lot to
yep,
work and back again. Yeah,
yeah. Except it's not the run down, dingy Seattle public transit. I mean, but the other thing to point out too is as you're moving along, and it takes probably about a half hour, 45 minutes to make your way. You're not taking like back roads. There's not like a police escort. There's none of that. You could see exactly what's going on around you. Beowulf appears, more or less like you would expect it to for an Earth-like world. Uh,
right.
it's probably mid to late afternoon by this point, based on the time difference of where you landed on the planet versus what time you woke up, however many hours ago, because it wasn't that long ago. Um, and the facility that you're going to is, if you didn't know any better, you would have to consider it to be some sort of small research station, basically surrounded by a bunch of forest and rolling hills. Like it's almost an idyllic setting, except for here's it's almost like you go into this mountain valley, right? Beautiful countryside, green grass, trees. This is the nicest prison I've ever been to. um
Right.
and it's a research facility, so here's a bunch of 4 to 5 story tall buildings with a couple of, or excuse me, with a bunch of 1 or 2 stories structures. Some of them are more of a temporary habitat than they are an actual building. There's a satellite dish off to one side for communication across the rest of the planet. Um, there's a fence. It's got barbed wire at the top, but a lot of times what fences don't have barbed wire at the top. But ultimately, you're let into the facility. You are again dropped off out of the vehicle, and you are separated once more as you are led a few levels below ground to some relatively comfortable living areas. And the first thing you'll notice, it will be ultimately two things. There is a shared living / common space with a private. I'm sorry. Let me back up.
No. Continue forward. Do it.
No, I'm misreading or misrepresenting what I have here. So basically, everybody's being put in effectively in a hotel suite. So you have your private room and bathroom. There is a shared living and common space, and then there's another private bedroom and bathroom. Hopefully, I didn't fuck that up that time. Fucking Australis research facility. So it's actually a Weyland-Yutani prison. Yeah, that's right. That sounds about right.
And how many blazons for the Empire of Mankind are there on the wall and stuff in here?
There are no
Markings
yeah, there's no
whatsoever, yes.
markings. Like now when I say there's no markings, I don't mean that in like it's sterilized, right? This is like some sort of clandestine sort of thing.
Mhm.
It's just that these buildings don't have any visual markings indicating who they're affiliated with. It's just a bunch of buildings with a fence around it.
Right. I mean, and all they really have is like, cafeteria this way,
Yeah.
patio this way, that
Yeah.
type of stuff. But there's nothing else to even say, like, how some hotels use a certain font for their signs. There's nothing. I mean, it is sanitized, but it just isn't. It's just not obvious to anybody who's not.
Right, like it's not like I'm trying to think, like it's not like a special forces compound out in the absolute middle of nowhere. It's just that
Right.
there's no clear markings that indicate that this facility is owned or operated by this group or that group. There are signs in some of the hallways that you'll notice as you're making your way through, and you're being led by these different ship's troops, that, cafeteria is this way, there's a rec room down this way, a gym down that way. But beyond that, you don't really have any good indication of where you are, who put this facility together, or anything like that.
What's the
Gotcha.
gravity here?
I'd actually have to look that up. I think Beowulf is somewhere around 3/4, but let me double check that
Okay.
real quick.
All right. And are there armed guards? When we're settling, are there armed guards, or are we just
The
left
only
alone?
people that you see armed are the ship's troops that are escorting you.
All right. Are they going to stay with us, or are they just escorting us?
As you're being settled in, it appears that they are being housed near you. And then over the course of the next scene, you'll realize that the similar to the situation as before, where you had a hallway with a number of rooms connecting it, and then a couple of guards inside that hallway patrolling back and forth or whatever. You've got a number of suites that are, we'll say, related, and then there's like one guard nearby.
Okay. And by you saying they gave us all our crap back, do we have all our crap back?
Not
Because
yet.
I have.
No, so
I
what
have a
you
lot of
do
stuff.
have, so what you do have is basically whatever you were initially detained with. Your personal belongings haven't arrived yet.
All right.
Does that mean I still have my vac suit on?
Yeah, you're still in your vac suit, or you're
Or I would
or you're
have
carrying
taken it off at some point.
Yeah, or you're carrying it.
Okay.
French arm 34. I'm still looking for Beowulf, by the way, so bear with me here. Oh, here we go. Gravity, actually 1.05. So
Okay.
it's basically Earth normal.
Does that cause any of us any problems?
I don't
It
think
causes
so.
me problems.
Okay, I
It
stand
does
corrected.
cause you problems?
I'm a low G boy. Yeah. No,
Right.
Yeah.
Do you need meds?
No, I don't think I need meds, but I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, you're
Okay.
incredibly uncomfortable because, and more than likely, you'll need. We never established, as I recall, I could be wrong. Is Alicia low grav background as well?
She doesn't have to be. Yeah,
Okay.
I think a difference in the world, it could, as I stumble on myself. No, she's not. She was born dirt side. I don't know where though, but
Yeah, I think I think in my head, I always kind of pictured her as being, either a frontier or maybe from the Corps initially, but over the course of her travels is how she came across you. You guys started spending a lot of time together, got married, whatever. But in the course of her professional life, she spent a lot of time in space, so she's not necessarily low grav like you, but maybe she's had some muscle deterioration over time. If that makes any sense. Yeah. I mean, she wouldn't take she's got some of the low gravity effects, but nothing necessarily penalized. Whereas you've got all the different modifiers because low grav.
Yeah. So if am I in a wheelchair or?
I think for right now, Alicia and maybe even one of the guards is actually helping move you along.
Okay, that's fine. That's chill. Yeah. So I don't know. Alicia here. Alicia. I don't know. She. I would say like two different world type thing. Like she's actually from a pretty decent overall, so she actually went to college and
Yeah.
has an actual college degree in engineering.
Yeah. She's
Whereas,
definitely got
yeah,
the engineering degree of some sort, whatever
yeah.
engineering,
Whereas,
space engineering.
while all the stuff he knows, he learned through apprenticeships or through
Through
years
hands-on.
of hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we have one more scene to do. I don't necessarily want to rush it, but we are getting a little bit close to our shutting time. So, the next thing that happens is as you guys are being sequestered into your new detention facility is not really the right word. This cat totally just laid on my headset cable. You need to move. Don't make me spray you. Come on. I need you to move.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. Don't
Am
want
I
to spray
being
it.
detained?
Move. Come on. Thank you. First up we have Helwig.
Yes.
As you are being led into your room, you notice that your quote-unquote roommate is Paul Gray.
Oh, great.
All right, now take the pillow, firmly hold in front of him,
I'm gonna look at him.
hold until he stops wiggling.
Well, I'm gonna look at him, and the first thing before he even says anything, I'm just gonna hold up my finger and just put it to my lips, and I'm just gonna look around.
Yeah, he definitely recognizes the whole. Yep, don't say anything. And what he does initially is he sees you do that because he was getting ready to say, "Oh man, thank God I got somebody that I actually kind of care about or something along those lines." But he starts to say that, then he stops because you're like, "No, don't say shit, don't say a fucking word." And he's like, and he takes his bags. I shouldn't say bags. He takes he's got like a small backpack that he managed to grab, but it doesn't have shit in it, right? It's basically the backpack and like a pair of socks that he managed to grab or some dumb shit like that, right? And so he takes that into his little personal area, and then he comes back out into the common area. He says,
and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna just drop my stuff off and then kind of look around the room, kind of assess it, come back and sit down, and then I'm just gonna look at him and say, "Hey, do you want to play a game where we can hook up the dermal nets, and we'll go from there."
I think so. I'm gonna paraphrase a little bit here. I think what because I'm assuming you're trying to set up some sort of like a small virtual LAN private network sharing thing.
Yeah. Just between the two of us, playing Super Mario World or whatever. Pick your 2300 version of a Game Bob
it'll
game.
be like Super Mario Kart 52.
Yeah.
With improved
or
8G with improved 8G graphics.
Yeah. Or Call of Space or some crap like that.
Yep. So he definitely wants to catch up with you and catch you up on what he knows. Because obviously Paul Gray was one of the guys that was, he was a supporting character in this overall arc or what have you. And what he gets at is this. He says, he believes that the crew of the Wayfinder is actually being split up based on who is going to stay and who's going to get let go, or worse, i.e. prison. He doesn't know for sure which group he himself is in, and by extension, he's also referring to everybody else that just came down on that penis. He does.
Yeah, they came down on the penis.
Yes. God damn it! I didn't want to use that fucking shit, but it was the only one that worked for what I wanted. He does say, kind of offhandedly, he's like, "Well, I guess it is a good time to maybe update my resume." Beyond that, he doesn't really know a whole lot as far as what exactly is going on, like overall. He does know that with the questions he was asked, he did answer without legal representation, but he does specify, and like he kind of belabors this point a little bit. He's like, I only answered exactly what they were asking. Like, if they asked what color was the sky, I said blue and nothing else, right? They asked him about Briggs recruiting anybody else beyond Morton Randall, of which, of course, Gray didn't know anything. They asked about his connection with August Blood. Again, he didn't know shit. He didn't even know what August Blood meant. He thought it was a rock band. Not
Right.
even a rock band, but almost something like some sort of new age death metal. He actually uses those words, new age death metal, because I feel like that needs
Oh
to be
yeah.
a thing now.
Yeah.
They did ask about the ATV and the modifications, and all he said was that the EXO is the one that blessed off on it, but he never asked why, and the EXO never said why. So he just kind of went with it and played dumb. Obviously,
Okay.
Gray knows a lot more than that.
Right. So I'm just gonna tell him. Okay. So they asked
Dropship.
you.
Thank you, Australis. Thank you. You're right. I should have said dropship. That's what we're going to call it from now on. The R40 commercial dropship. I'm sorry. Please go
There
ahead,
you go.
Kelwick.
Oh, I'm gonna go. Okay. Well, they asked me some of the same questions, and I was dumb. That's an interesting observation. You think they're gonna split us up? That's probably a valid view. And good thing answering the questions. Did you get a lawyer?
No, he has not yet. In fact, he brings up, he's like, no. Funny enough, my room didn't have any link connection except for professionaldevelopment.link.com.
And then I want to take that. I'm just gonna look at it with a twinkle in my eye and go, did you see the video about?
He's like, yes, I did. That stupid ass shit, that dumb motherfucker, Steve with the blue sweater.
Right? Yeah. We're gonna, the sweater and talking about not going to prom sites and not asking the.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So anyhow, from there, I'm just gonna okay, cool, right? And then I'm just gonna mention that all I did was I just took my my socks off and was just throwing them against the wall and bouncing off stuff. And they asked me some questions, but I just kind of same things. And I said nothing important. Sort of, I want lawyer or I want the union rep. And do you have a copy of the rights and privileges and da da da? If you don't, hang on. So then I flip over.
You do a quick little email of it.
Yeah.
I like this.
With the highlighted section.
Yeah, I like that. With the highlighted section even. I like this too. Australia says new age death metal, which in 2300 AD sounds like jazz. It's much more upbeat. It's like instead of the I don't know anything about jazz. I will just say let's argue that if jazz has an average tempo of 90 beats per minute, that the new age death metal jazz in 2300 is at like 180 plus. We'll go with that.
Right. So and then I'm like, dude. So and I'm gonna look at him and just we don't know where we're at. We don't know what we're doing. If you didn't notice, there's nothing on the walls telling us where anything is.
Yeah, I saw that too.
There's not even a New Age Gideon Bible in the desk drawers.
New Age Gideon Bible. Oh my God.
Right. And so at this point, I said I'm gonna go test the doors, and I'm just gonna go for a walk.
And the door into the hallway is locked.
Okay.
It does not appear to be able. It looks like they. Yeah. So what it looks like is instead of having the door lock on the inside, it almost looks like they took the door handles off and reversed it.
Oh, nice.
So the locking mechanism is in the hallway now.
Yeah, and upon that happening, I'm just gonna cuss loudly in German, and then I'm just gonna go okay, and I'm gonna just. Is there like a TV in the room or anything else like that? In the common room.
Yeah, there's some entertainment options, but it's very much limited to. I'll use the words local access only, except of course that's to give the players an idea of what they're able to get. There is no actual local because you're out in the middle of the woods, basically.
Yeah.
But effectively, that's what you get is something like local access.
It's if you've ever been to a resort, it's like welcome to our resort. You have the following.
Yeah, and there is like one channel of like decent entertainment, but okay, I'm gonna say CBS. I don't mean to bag on CBS, but like that's like the only channel worthy of entertainment. And then you get like 4 hours, and then you get like 2 hours of news and weather and some other like sports. Yeah. And then you get like 30 minutes of some sports analyst, and then it goes back into the rotation of 4 hours of entertainment, 2 hours of news and weather.
And it's all like 3 seasons ago stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's all. So if you were missing something, this is a great time for you to be alive. But if you caught up, now you're fucked.
Yeah. So I'm just having it on, and I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna go, dude, just relax until they figure out what to do. Don't sweat it. Here, watch some TV. Otherwise, whatever. I'm just gonna lay out one of the chairs, put my feet up on the table, and just kind of zone out to the TV and just yeah.
Yep. All right, that takes us
Yeah.
next to the XO. Mr. Wyatt, your wife is your
yeah.
roommate,
Oh, hey.
for lack
That's
of a
nice.
better thing to call it. They were kind enough to put you and your wife back together. In
Aw.
the summary, hold on, I gotta slap my cat. Get out of there! Come on, you're pulling on my cable. Let go. Bear with me. I gotta do something here on the computer. Okay. Everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, good. And I can hear you. Good. Yeah, so the summary that you get from Alicia is that when she was interviewed, she didn't realize that it was actually an interrogation until they actually started getting into questions specifically relating to the bomb and the explosives and the type of explosion and all that stuff. Effectively, they started with some relatively simple questions based on engineering and then gradually worked their way up from there, working in the questions of what kind of explosive material was used by the captain, how certain are you that it was the captain that, planted the explosives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, if anything that your wife is most upset about, other than, being separated from you, is she's pissed, like absolutely pissed, that one of her own engineers, Morton Randall, was actually in on the whole fuck around bullshit in the first place. She is pissed that he was one of the turncoats and she never knew.
Hey, it's not your fault, I mean,
No, fuck that guy. I think those words come out of her mouth several times.
yeah, no, I'm not saying don't. He's on the list. All right,
He's on the
let's just be
list.
clear. Let's just clear. Hey, Flex, that guy's on a list, right?
Let me
But
see what
it's
else
not
we
your
got.
fault,
Yeah.
You gave them trust, and he abused that trust, and you being trusting
And that's what I'm so
isn't a
angry
bad thing.
about. She even has like I shouldn't say her little hands. She has her hands actually balled up and she's like, and that's what I'm so angry about. Is I trusted that son of a bitch. Some of the other stuff too is they asked about the Andrew Carnegie operation, which is the big space station with the plant that got burned up. But her only answer to that was she just thought it was just another old contracted job that the ship and crew did for the corporation running the planet Inferno, AMEC, if you guys recall.
Yeah.
And then they also asked about how long she knew about Briggs's duplicity, and she's like, I didn't fucking know. Like, the son of a, not only was the captain in on it, but he took one of my engineers, and I'm pretty goddamn pissed about it.
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, and I try to console her and
Palace.
comfort her.
God damn it,
and,
Australis. I'm sorry, go ahead.
and then also just tell her, like, we have to assume that this place is bugged up the wall. So, and assume this is just another form of interrogation they're in here. So
Yeah, I think
just,
she agrees with you, but for the first half hour to an hour of you guys in there talking and catching up and whatever else you guys do,
yeah.
she's just like, I don't fucking care. Like, she's like, you could tell, you know your wife, she is pissed. She's livid. She is feeling all sorts of, hostile, negative emotions regarding this whole experience. In fact, she has mentioned not only, fuck that guy, but she's also fuck Flex, fuck the captain, fuck that ship. Like, she is.
We're out of flag.
Yeah, she is. She is out of her. Not, I should say, out of her mind. She is livid.
I thought Flex was going to be, like a pretty easier job than running your own ship, right? I thought our old ship got taken out by pirates, and then like I had the contact with Flex, and due to our projected experience, we got pretty high end rolls. I thought that'd be a good thing to ride out until a pension happened or something, right? But like, god damn.
Yeah, and as soon as you mentioned anything about regarding a pension, she looks at you like, yeah, that was a great idea, wasn't it? And when she says it, she doesn't mean it in a way where she's putting the onus on you. I think maybe somewhere along the way it was her idea to sign on with Flex and not so much yours. And she's like, not really self-smashing her, she's not downing herself or whatever, but she's like, yeah, that was a bad idea.
We're a bit old to start over a third time.
Yeah. She definitely can't argue that statement. I want to do Milligan's bit last, or one.
Okay.
He's the last one here, and then we've got our closeout. She's feeling a lot for someone who's only nebulously defined. Yeah, okay. All right, you got me on that one. Listen, I'm trying to give these NPCs that are following the crew around, I'm trying to give them a little bit more depth, so. Milligan, your roommates, I want to specify that you have two, are Carl Spearman and Buford Aiello.
Good.
Their summary goes something along the lines of this. The guards actually had a bit of a hell of a time separating the two of them when they were first taken off the ship.
I bet.
Yeah, because these two are, I don't know, Butch and Sundance, I
The
guess.
Uglies.
Yeah,
Kenny
no,
and Carl and what's his face off The Simpsons?
yeah, Carl and Lenny.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys, like, when you are talking to them, you get the impression that these guys have been best buds, it feels like since middle school. Turns out that that's not entirely the case, but at this point in time, they might as well have been. When they were separated initially, as they were pulled off the ship, that was where their bruises came from. So one of them's got, Spearman's got a black eye. Aiello's got the bruise and the slight cut on his cheek. They were getting separated by the guards, and they said, fuck you, we're ship's troops too. We know how to fight. And they gave almost as good as they got. And then they were separated. And ever since they were brought into the hangar on the station to come back down to Beowulf, they have not left each other's side. When the two knuckleheads were brought down to the living areas that you guys are brought in now, they apparently, whether or not your character actually saw this is your call to make. But basically, they kind of looked at the card and like, you're not doing this again, right? You're not gonna make a second mistake, right? And the guard is like, I don't even give a shit anymore. Just get in there. And if there was a plan to separate the two, it was dropped at that point, or they actually were like, you know what, fuck it, just put those two knuckleheads together. So you get both of them knuckleheads. In the course of their questions, because these guys are talking like a mile a minute. They're telling you almost a minute by minute recounting of what has happened since they were pulled off the ship, and they don't give a shit who's listening. And there's a lot of profanity. I feel like you've got some experience with military, indirectly perhaps. So I'm sure you can imagine what kind of conversation this sounds like, or what this conversation sounds like. It is a lot of F-bombs and a lot of shits, and this dumb motherfucker that, and this dumb motherfucker this. They were both asked. They were both asked about McAvoy, but they both really didn't give much in the way of good answers. Good answers as defined by the Flex interviewers or whatever. Like,
Right.
they didn't really
Because
give.
there's
much.
not a good answer to all that.
No, there isn't.
He just didn't come home.
Yeah, and actually, they kind of both, like, not for nothing, Aiello and Spearman actually kind of looked up to him a little bit because he was their team leader, and as much as McAvoy was a kind of a hard ass, well, he wasn't even kind of a hard ass. He was an asshole. Like, it kind of shaped these guys up a little bit, and they actually kind of started to flourish a little bit, and then McAvoy ended up basically dying. They weren't really asked a whole lot of other questions, at least none that they're telling you. And then the one thing that I'm going to leave before you have a chance to respond to anything is they are both pretty upset that all of their souvenirs that they've been collecting since they left Terrain is still on the ship, and they haven't been able to get back to them.
Right. So I'll explain that.
I knew somebody was going to be amused by that.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
We don't necessarily know that the stuff's still on the ship. It may be down here somewhere. We have no clue. But definitely we're going to get that stuff back.
I want my goddamn Neo Takundo fucking foam finger back, goddammit.
Oh, jeez.
I had to make something up to illustrate the
So
point.
we're still locked in these rooms. We don't have access to the common area.
Well, no, so it's a kind of like a hotel suite. So, like, you have your own private rooms, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you have a shared common area between the two rooms, but you can't leave the suite.
So who's in the adjacent room?
It's you're in one room, and then Spearman and Aiello are in the other one.
Okay. So there's not anybody actually in my room. Okay.
Correct. Yeah, you have your own personal private space.
Okay.
You've got like somewhere. I don't know what the size would be. I think there's a size between twin and queen. You know, you have your own
Full.
bed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't know. They, maybe they'll take turns. One sleeps on the floor one night, one sleeps on the floor the next night. I don't fucking know. Who knows what those two shitheads are doing?
So I'm going to tell them that they did a good job. Way to go. I wish it could have gone down a little different, but a bunch of people would have died over that.
And they both look at you when you say that. They're both like, "Yeah, I'd kill the motherfucker."
Yeah. So I'm like, to make the best use of your time as you can. I don't know
I swear
if
to
or
God,
when
you
they're
tell
ever
me to
going to give
watch
us.
one more goddamn video.
I'm like, hey, stop that, boy. That's my cat. Sorry.
I was like,
He decided.
was he just yelling at Aiello? Because that's what it sounded
No.
like.
He decided to attack my sofa for no good reason. Boy,
Yeah.
I'm on to you. All right, sorry.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I got a cat too.
And so I'm going to walk around my room and I'm going to pick up everything. I'm going to look in everything. I'm going to pry the base off a table lamp. I'm going to look on the inside of every drawer up underneath the countertop, whatever. I'm doing my best to find bugs, just, I don't know, for the practice of it, I guess.
I'm gonna Bethesda Studio Games this place. I think what you find, I think you easily find a couple. The obvious places. The underside or the inside of the underside of a lamp. I think you find one on the, you open up a dresser drawer, and not on the bottom of the drawer on the inside, but on the face, on the up, like where the handle is for the drawer, right? So on the opposite face on the inside, there's a little bug underneath this little lip. That's
Okay.
I don't know these technical. I think it's like molding or edging or something like that in the design of the furniture. You find a couple that are really. You find one like in the smoke detector.
Okay.
But after about 4 or 5, you get the impression that there's probably a few more in here that I'm just not gonna find.
So I'm going to take them all and put them in a little pile so that hopefully they'll feedback on one another really bad. And I'm just going to leave them piled up there.
That'd be hilarious. So now's the time you tell Omar you leveled up a skill watching all those professional development streams. Hey, these guys got to get their fucking 8 hours of training time in each day for the week. They got to get their 40 hours each week, and otherwise they don't get a complete week.
Are we getting double right now because we're not doing our job, so we can spend 16 hours a day at it?
I'll have to think about that one. I'll have to give that one some thought.
That'd be epic.
So do we have access to the entire crew yet, or
no? So what you are aware of right now is the 3 player characters. We also have Alicia Wyatt. We have Paul Gray, and we have Spearman and Aiello. Those are the only ones that you are aware of that were brought off the ship.
Okay.
As far as you know, and as far as you know, none of the NPC characters either. Nobody knows if anybody else is still on the station or if anybody else has been brought down to a different location or at a different time. They may even be in the same facility now and were brought down earlier, and they're in a different wing or something like that. To be clear, you guys are a few levels below ground. Like sub-basement 3 or 4.
So we don't like windows that are telling us what it's daylight, sunlight.
You get the window that's actually a television screen kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Mind you, this is 2300, so slightly better than 4K.
Right.
I do know that cruise liners have been doing that for rooms that are underneath the waterline.
That's actually, like, I was thinking about this earlier today for some reason, that it's actually kind of a nice idea to have that some sort of artificial daylight simulation. I'm sure there's some sort of circadian rhythm being produced or supported for the human body, because if you spend all your time stuck inside 4 walls and a floor and a ceiling without any sort of idea of what time it is outside, you always look at your watch or your phone, a clock, whatever, but it's not the same thing as having that that lighting level. And I was thinking about this because I was watching Foundation last night or the night before, and they had a different lighting system inside one of the ships that they were in. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know, that's pretty cool the way they have that particular lighting set up, because it's kind of like this line of light that passes through the wall at about shoulder height, I think. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, what if they had, you know, instead of like this, what if in a, you know, like my own sort of sci-fi thing, what if they used, you know, a normal white light for daytime hours and then gradually shifting it to a soft, warm, yellow-ish light towards, you know, evening, and then like overnight, a cool, light blue, silvery light to represent, you know, nighttime or something like that, and then just have it rotate through to represent the amount of light you would normally get between the sun and the moon here on Earth. Anyway, a little bit off topic there. Milligan, was there anything else you wanted to discuss with these two knuckleheads?
No, I just want to tell them they did a great job, you know,
Okay.
to hang in there, and we'll see what the future brings us.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, that is all the content I have for the players. I have a closing / post credit scene I'm going to read through real quick. For the viewer, the screen is black, nothing. The words "Uncharted System" fade in, bottom left. No date, and the words remain throughout this closing scene. Uncharted System. We see a gas giant orbiting close to a dim red star, and around that purpley gas giant are a number of large moons. One is obvious in our view, large enough to be a small Earth-like planet. From our vantage point, we could see the moon, and as the camera creeps closer, the gas giant blots out the sun, and the moon is much larger now. Ships in orbit can be seen, and as they resolve, it is noticed that the ships are actually in formation. What appears to be more than a dozen, but then the camera pans to become level with the curvature of the moon, with the gas giant in the background for contrast. It's not just a dozen ships, but several dozen ships in a grid formation. At the rear of those ships, a blue-white glow can be seen, faint at first, but then surging brighter. And I'm sorry, my cat is fucking with my foot the whole time I'm reading this. I'm trying to ignore him, little bastard. Where am I? It's not just a dozen ships, but several dozen ships in a grid formation. At the rear of those ships, a blue-white glow can be seen, faint at first, but then surging brighter, and the dozens of ships begin moving forward and eventually into the distance where they can no longer be seen against the black of deep space. And the words at the bottom of the screen shift from Uncharted System to Vodrosa Prime. Fade to black. Hopefully I'm not missing anything I heard because my cat was pulling on my cables. Give me a second, guys. Play with my connections here.
Where's Vodrosa Prime?
Out of character, I will tell you that Vodrosa Prime is a star system that I am designing specifically for this campaign. It is not a canonical system. Yeah, that is all I have for tonight, and we are right at 10:03 p.m. my time.
Nice.
Let's get some feedback going here. What the hell was that? Not that kind of feedback. Yeah, that's not the feedback I want. I'm trying to pick my cat up, and he's being an asshole. I think he wants to play.
Well, welcome to the natural state of cats.
Yeah, I know. Oh man. Charles, some thoughts?
I think it was.
Some thoughts on the session and some closeout stuff from you.
I think it was awesome. I think the whole lawyery thingy scene was pretty cool, pretty fun because it was outside of the sessions. We've been talking about what's going to happen next, and we're trying to figure, whether we're going to go to jail or whatever. But I think it was great, and the whole conversation. Yes, I was a little more wild and crazy than normal, but that's only because I feel like that's what my character is. I mean, I hate to use this phrase because this is such trope, but I feel like with my character being the training he's got would have been a little wild and crazy, and just been, annoying as heck just to see how much they would have ignored him and let him get by with stuff.
Oh yeah, and they're totally
Um,
ignoring him too. Like they're
yeah,
just letting him go and do whatever he's doing.
yep, exactly. And just like whatever.
Like
I
he's
think,
crazy.
yeah, I think. Let me see. Close out. Otherwise, close out. I don't really have anything short of. It's going to be interesting to see where we go to next. I know we had some conversations offline, and we're going to be interested to see where the plot goes to. But I really feel like I'm now in a. I don't want to say a secret prison, but more like a secret and training site.
It's a secret prison. That's what it is. It's a
You
secret
can call it
prison.
a secret prison, but maybe it's a secret holding facility that is not supposed to be known about. For where you keep this is where you keep people comfortable for the rest of their lives, so they don't ever bitch about things. I'm joking when I say that. That's not what I intended.
Yeah. The whole classic. Hey, he retired to his beach house.
Yeah.
And wait, he just died of a heart attack.
Yeah. No, I will say this much about the facility that you guys got moved to. It is intended exactly to be a holding facility, but it's not intended to specifically be a prison. A gilded gulag is probably a good way to actually explain. You'll have to wait and see where this goes. There's a reason why. Obviously, there's a reason why you guys were moved here versus an actual prison, or
Well, yeah, because if they did actual prison, they had to tell the state what they're doing, and they would get in trouble. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So I no, I mean, and my little tinfoil hat is being on right now is saying that we're more along the lines of one of those secret locations where people get extra training, and you want things to be done and groups organized that nobody else wants to know about and be talked about.
Yeah, Australis is over here explaining basically you guys are going to have facehuggers.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're basically going to be introduced to an alien species that nobody knows anything about.
Right.
All right. Anything else, Charles, or shall I move on?
Move on.
Wiggles, what do you got for me? Some thoughts for tonight?
I had fun.
Good.
Yeah, I had fun. If we stayed in the prison longer, I was hoping to get one of the prison guards to have a moral break and go it is objectively wrong.
Oh yeah. There's definitely some. I'll say this much out of character, because I don't want to give away too much, but there is a reason why Flex is doing what it's doing right now. Yes, what they are doing right now to you guys specifically is illegal, but there is a reason for it that Flex is banking on their lawyers to cover them for. Should it ever come up, ever be necessary? Like, Flex is not doing this to be the evil bad guys here. They're doing this because they need to get to the bottom of a problem, not unlike you, the player characters. What they're doing, unfortunately, is very much fucking illegal. Illegal detaining, illegal questioning, and being shuffled around. That's some bad juju, period.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
So
the banking.
It's not about you, Stormbender says. It's about us. That's one way to look at it.
Look, it's cool when the PCs do it. It's bad when NPCs do it.
It's bad. It's good when the PCs do it. It's bad when it's done to the PCs.
He has a plate. He doesn't even know how to play for food. Yes, he does. Yeah. So this place we're in, this place is way more escapable than the last place. So we're if they give us any of our crap, we're probably gonna burn this place down.
Oh, you
Make
could.
them do a fight.
You could. It could be a running gunfight to get back to the surface of the facility to ground level, and then just blow out a fence wall section and get out, steal a vehicle or something.
Oh, we're surrounded by forest. We make a big enough forest fire. State personnel is gonna show up.
Yeah. You got anything else for us, Wiggles?
Probably shouldn't do state forest fires in the fact that Maui's currently happening. That might be in poor taste, and I apologize for that.
Okay, you know what? I didn't even put that together, but now that you pointed it out, I'm like, yeah, I kind of have to agree with that. But yeah, no, I think forest fires and Maui on fire, notwithstanding, I think introducing some sort of fire element as a means by which to generate your escape is not any other session would not be so poor taste. It just happens that right now with Hawaii having the problems they're having right now. But yeah. Thurgor, my angry Milligan, my angry pilot, my angry sleeping angry pilot. What kind of thoughts do you have, and what do you got for closeout? Thurgor? Did my headset shit on me again because of my cat? I think that's what happened. Hang on.
Am I back?
I hear you now. I don't know how
All right.
much or if I even missed anything since I asked my question.
I'll just start over. I
Yeah.
said still sleepy, still angry,
Yes.
but definitely feeling like I'm in a better economic situation now, because Flex is either going to have to pay us off, or they're going to get the shit suit out of them when we're done, and we may not have to have a patron to own a ship after this.
You're just gonna walk up to the shipyard and be like, "I want 3 of those."
All right, fix the Wayfinder. We'll be taking that, kind of thing.
This cat, will you stop? I'm trying to run a stream. Go away for a minute. Stop. Get away from the cable. You got me fucked up, cat. All right, here, just sit up here.
Other than that, I'm just going to be a minor nuisance until something else eventful happens. But there's going to be a point in time where I'm done waiting.
There's gonna be a reckoning. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep. And hopefully they will have decided something before that time.
Yeah. Either you reckon or I reckon.
Right.
That's what's gonna happen.
They roomed me with 2 of the most capable combatants on the floor here, so yeah, we may be making some plans.
Yeah.
So apparently
Wiggles.
people can't. Oh,
Wiggles.
anyway.
Yeah, sorry. In regards to the communication problem that we were just having, I've noticed in the last few weeks that I believe the jack port that my headset plugs into, I think it's loose, like within the frame of the computer, and my cat likes to lay on the floor right next to my chair. Well, it also happens to be where the cable is, so if he disturbs the cable enough, I can't hear anything, and if the computer doesn't register me hearing anything, it doesn't transmit it over the stream. So that's why they were able to hear me, but not you guys, and yet you guys could hear me in Discord. It's really annoying. It's a quick fix, but it's a matter of me sitting here for a moment going, why don't I hear anything? And then realizing, oh, I'm not hearing anything because I need to re-plug in my headset real fast. Anything else, Thurgor?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, I'm glad you guys had fun tonight. I don't want to say I was nervous when I wrote tonight. I was a little hesitant to go through everything here tonight, but I don't know if that was just because, stage fright or something like that, or if it was like a legit concern, because I know we spent a lot of time off the air talking about, what ship you guys are going to work on next, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we never truly talked about what was going to happen in character, in game, next. And so when I spent the last couple of weeks considering my next move as far as the story goes, I was like, what we need to do is we need to show the decision that we, the group, made, well, more accurately, you guys, the group, made, insofar as leaving Flex. Like, we need to actually show that as part of the story for the viewers. So let's do what we saw tonight, the Interrogation series, for lack of a better thing to call it. In fact, that's the name of the episode, is Interrogation. No, you cannot play with my mouse. So what we will do, tonight, next week, possibly the week following, is we're going to show the segue, I guess, from working for Flex to not working for Flex. And that's a little bit of a spoiler. Probably not the best way to show that, but my personal opinion on some spoilers, other than some massive ones, is that it's not necessarily the spoiler that puts it out, it's people that ruin the entire process of how we get from point A to point B. Of course, that's my opinion, so hopefully I didn't ruin it for the next few episodes. If not, I guess I'll see you again in a few weeks. You
Oh,
can-
one way or the other. Very soon, we're not going to be an employee of Flex.
Oh yeah, one way or the other. You're absolutely right. Like either we're gonna shoot somebody or they're gonna
So
shoot
that's
us.
not right. That's not really a spoiler.
Yeah.
Next
Yeah,
session,
no,
something has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, none of us were exactly agreeable or friendly to Flex in this episode. So
Oh no,
Well,
none
they
of
weren't
you
being
were. None
friendly
of
to
you were.
us.
Like we have uh I think Helwig is the only one that is not outright or actively antagonistic to anybody from Flex. We got the EXO and the pilot that are basically saying, in not using these exact words, but basically saying, "Go fuck yourselves."
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, if I think if anything, Helwig is not so much saying that, but only because he wants to know what Flex knows, and so he can get more information to solve the ancient riddle of time itself.
Yep.
by the way,
Basically.
by the way, Helly, thank you for actually going along with that. So at least one of us actually got some of the plot.
Yeah.
You know, when you said that, I was wondering, it was like, is he being sarcastic, or is that like, where's he going with this? Yeah, I was definitely trying to feed you guys a little bit of plot elements there. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm also not gonna tell you everything that was supposed to, all the thoughts that were supposed to happen tonight versus all of the the overall plot, because I got to keep something for my back pocket.
Well, I mean, I realized that the after the first two kind of basically shot her down and basically were like, we're not going to do anything. I realized that you were trying to get something out of there, so I figured I might as well tease it out somehow, some way,
Yeah,
and go from there. But
yeah.
I will be a little bit of a jerk with regards to like letting her dictate to me what I can be told and what I can't be told and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I was definitely trying to give. I was trying to show Oppenheimer as a human being and not just some robotic. I have questions.
Right.
I will ask them now, and you will answer them. That sometimes interrogators can be portrayed as. Because the truth of the matter is,
Right.
Whether or not you guys caught on, is that she's Jesus Christ, my dice pad just went flying across my screen. On TTS, I
Right,
should say.
XO.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, XO.
The Captain Oppenheimer is in a sticky position. She is not a fan of this course of action, but she's also not in a position to be able to do much about it. Like, she can register complaints and bitch and moan, but that's effectively all she can do. And I tried to show
Right.
that without showing that, because someone in that position, like, realistically, hey, I don't like what I'm doing here, but I got to do what I'm doing here. Let me subtly tell you that I don't like what's going on, because I want to give you some sort of, consolation, if nothing else.
Right.
So hopefully I pulled that off.
I mean, she could always make an anonymous call to the police. I'm just saying.
She could, but she's on a space station where the communication is generally monitored.
Right, run by the entire mankind. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows who is sleeping with who? That's all I know, or don't know, rather.
And
All
I
right.
did not just totally say fuck off. I said you're looking at the wrong direction. This is who you need to be looking for.
And
Fuck
now
off.
you can go fuck off. All right, let's get out of here, because otherwise we'll be talking all damn night, and people
Yep.
may or may not enjoy that. I don't know. All right, my friends, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out, even if it was just for a little while, or if you were here for the entire 3-ish hour extravaganza that this season premiere was. Australis, Wiggles, there were one or two other people that made some interesting comments, especially the ones that just totally derailed my thoughts. I really do appreciate it, no matter what I say. Stormbender, thank you for joining us. Stormbender, if you haven't already, I don't know if you followed, but if you did or have, thank you. If you haven't, please consider. You absolutely do not have to. It's always appreciated. At any rate, I'm going to get out of here. I am doing a recording session tomorrow evening. The Lyran debutantes are taking on, I believe, the Taurian Nationals. I'm sorry. I keep wanting to call them nationalists, and I don't mean to. Anyway, the debutantes are playing somebody. I don't remember who off the top of my head. I think it's the Nationals. That's my next match scheduled, and then I got 2 more over the weekend to get recorded, so keep an eye on youtube.com/@OmarKrieg. Yes, that is the correct website address as shown on the overlay and the way I just pronounced it. If you're into Battletech or Mega Mech, there's some good 3-on-3 action going on over that way. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. We're changing it up a little bit this season based on how we did it before, so hopefully you'll have a bit more to enjoy out of it, I think. Otherwise, We will be back again on Monday with more Celasta with Friends, and again next week, Wednesday the 23rd, with episode 2 of season 2 of Second Star. Thank you, my friends. I'm going to get out of here because if I keep talking, it's just going to be a bunch of nonsense being rambled. So, 3-on-3 action. I did say YouTube, Australis. I don't have an OnlyFans. Anyways, have a good night, my friends. Stay safe. Do what you got to do to take care of you and yours. And as for me and mine, I'm going to go have a shot at tequila and smoke a cigarette. I don't know about you. Have a good night, my friends. Stay safe.